plus 3.5 at Wake Forest. Nebraska, Purdue under 48. Louisiana Monroe plus 6.5 at Troy. Auburn minus 1.5 against Oklahoma. And Louisville, Notre Dame under the total of 46.5. At Chuck Edel, EDEL on Twitter. How about Weston Stratman, the original average Joe out of Nashville, Tennessee? Weston, 12.5 points, 11-9-1, and 2-1 on his best bets, off to a strong start. He was the fourth place finisher in this contest a year ago on Twitter at Guy in Cornfields. Best bet for Weston Stratman, Chiefs minus 7 against the Chargers. Chiefs are going to be on all over teasers. I got to think the most popular play probably on teasers this week. Chiefs minus 7 against the Chargers. Bengals minus 4.5. He's going to lay the points against the Red Rifle. That's a dangerous thing to do. Weston Stratman, Bengals minus 4.5. Falcons minus 2.5. That's a popular play in this contest. It might be the top consensus play. All that information's up on the website after this show tonight, vsin.com, contest standings, plays, and everything you want to see. Browns pick at Raiders. Lions minus 3.5 on Monday night. 2 in college for Weston Stratman. Georgia, Alabama under 50. Utah minus 8.5 against Arizona. All right, let's go to Chris Massero, pro sports bettor out of San Diego, 11-10 in the contest. He is in 8th place right now, tied for 8th with Mark Lawrence. Chris Massero at Real Gage on Twitter. That's Real, G-A-D-G-E, and he's been very opinionated and outspoken on Twitter recently. So follow him on Twitter. Top 20 finish in the Circa Million contest in 2019. Best bet for Chris Massero, Kentucky Ole Miss under the total of 51.5. Also on the Lions, minus 3.5. Buccaneers, plus 1. Bengals, minus 4.5. To the college side, Louisville, plus 7 at Notre Dame. Oregon, minus 25.5 against UCLA. He's probably talking with Doug Kazarian about that play this week. The Ducks laying 25.5 against the Bruins at the Rose Bowl. And also for Chris Massero, Baylor minus 3.5 against BYU. Mark Lawrence, the 2005 Stardust Invitational champ. He knocked off Steve Fezzik in the finals that year. Mark Lawrence, 11-10, tied with Chris Massero right now, 12 points in 8th place. Best bet for Mark Lawrence at playbook.com. Ravens minus 2.5 against the Bills. And I can tell you, I talked with Mark this week, and he's very irritated about the Falcons blowing that game on Sunday night as his best bet last week. North Carolina plus 2.5, Kentucky plus 16, Arkansas plus 6, Illinois plus 18.5, Colts plus 2, and Browns pick 'em. Those are the rest of the plays for Mark Lawrence. Try to take a quick look at the Brooklyn's best bets for the entire contest this week as we get out of here and head into the weekend in week 4. Again, this contest sponsored by Brooklyn's Best Pizza and Pasta, and we are out of time. But we will try to tweet out the best bets for all the contestants. And again, you can find all the plays from all the handicappers, 25 handicappers, 175 plays for the Circuit Friday Football Invitational. Best of luck for a winning weekend, the Sports Betting Network.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and, in rare cases, fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In 96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in 09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
This is Matt Lipsack, the voice of the Youngstown Phantoms, and your home for Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio. It's time to kick back and listen to the sports page with your host, Pat Lucia, right here on Western Reserve Radio. You can call the show at 330-707-4202 and tell everyone what's on your mind in the wonderful world of sports. Now, here's your host, Pat Lucia.
Saturday morning sports page, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. Western Reserve Radio, 330-707-4202. Get in and talk sports. We do it every Saturday morning here, and here is Western Reserve Radio. Oh, Dave Clark, what a day, what a week. A little NBA news to start our day. I know we normally don't get doing NBA. Little baseball, too. I guess we'll throw them both at you. NBA big trade, if you're a New York Knicks fan. Reported last night that the New York Knicks got Karl Anthony Towns from the Minnesota Timberwolves in exchange for DiVincenzo and Julius Randle and a first-round pick. It's a protected first-round pick. I think it's going to be like the 13th pick overall. That's basically what happened. So Dominic DiVincenzo, Julius Randle, and a first-round pick go to the Timberwolves from the New York Knicks for Karl Anthony Towns, Dave Clark. So a big trade. Knicks had a weakness in the center, and they've solved that problem. They lose a good shooter in DiVincenzo. I'm sure they'll pick one up or find. But they've got enough shooters, I think, to get by. But he was a big part of that team. However, they'll, again, probably find a shooter to replace him. Julius Randle really was hurt a lot, didn't kind of fit into their offense. They were trying to get him figured into that offensive scheme.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever really did that. Well, it doesn't matter now because he will be a Minnesota Timberwolf.
Yeah, and I like the trade. DiVincenzo, I hate losing him because not only his shooter, just his toughness, his overall toughness, and it brings back the old brand of the Knicks of always being a tough basketball team. So I definitely hated that part. Randall, I like Randall, but the only thing about him is that he's ball dominant kind of, and then the ball comes to a stop when it gets to him. You know, he's pivoting, he's in everything, which is fine, but that's not how that offense. And see, Towns is not that type of player. He likes to swing the ball all around and get it to the guy that's, and he can go out threes. He can do it all. He can do mostly everything. Rebound. He could post. So, that I like that because he'll fit perfectly with Brunson and the rest of the players as far as moving the ball. But that's what they got to pick up. Now, who did they get before? Bridges?
Yeah.
Now that
was Mikal Bridges from the Nets.
And that was at the beginning of
that was right at the end of the NBA season, right at the end of the season, or
because he didn't play in the play. He hadn't played for the Knicks yet.
He was not playing for the Knicks in the playoffs.
It was after the playoffs was over for them. So I mean, those are major pickups. And Bridges, he'll fit in for the DiVincenzo scoring.
Right.
He can score and he plays good defense. He's an all-around player, and he's a tough guy, too. So, I mean, I'm trying to think. Is he from Villanova, too? No, he's not from Villanova. I can't forget where he's from. I forgot where Mikal Bridges is from.
I guess the question comes down to, how much closer to the Celtics do they get?
Yeah.
Because realistically, the Celtics are the team to beat in the NBA almost. Yeah, Mikal Bridges is from Villanova.
Yeah, that's why they kept that connection going.
Kind of substituted. They lost DiVincenzo of Villanova, but they replaced him with Bridges, another Villanova. So they still got the Villanova thing going on with the Knicks.
Yes, they do.
So it's almost Villanova North.
And they could have, if they'd kept DiVincenzo, they had all these Villanova guys.
Would have had.
And they all play well and hard. That's what I like.
So the Knicks are evolving. Looks like that's a good move. The question will be, it does get them closer to the Celtics talent-wise. Now, do they have enough to overcome? Well, we'll find out when they play and get into the playoffs, which is way away. But this is just a very interesting trade for the Knicks in the middle of football season or beginning of football season. So that's good news. The Kansas City Royals, for baseball fans, clinched a wild card spot in the American League, and that basically has the American League playoff picture is set. They'll have the Yankees winning their division, Cleveland Guardians won their division, Houston won their division, and the playoff teams or the wild card teams are basically going to be Kansas City, Detroit, and Baltimore. So that's already set. Then they'll just have to, figure out who goes where. The National League is a little more of a muddied picture because of the rainout in Atlanta between the Braves and the Mets. Why they didn't play a game on Monday. Now they have to play a doubleheader the following Monday. That got all kinds of buzz in the sports talk world. And I'm not going to get into the whole rabbit hole of what Manfred should have done, didn't do. Bottom line is, right now, the way this playoff picture looks, you have basically 2 spots open for 3 teams. The Padres have the other playoff spot already sealed, but there's 2 spots open. It's Arizona, the Braves, and the Mets. Braves and the Mets have to play a playoff game Monday, 2 playoff games Monday, 2 games Monday, not a playoff games, a doubleheader Monday to decide the wild card situation. So that kind of can be convoluted because Arizona, and right now you've got a 3-way tie. Arizona, Mets, and the Atlanta Braves are tied, 3 teams for 2 spots. And what could get a little hairy is if, I give a case scenario, if the Mets win a game, or they've clinched a division, or they've clinched a spot, or the Braves have clinched a spot, where they have no motivation to play that doubleheader.
Right.
So they may send out the AAA guys, which is not fair for Arizona because they need, say, the Mets to lose to get in, and Arizona's pretty much going to concede the game to the Mets. So that's got a lot of buzz going on. See how it all plays out.
Yeah. Yep.
So baseball's obviously winding down. This is the last weekend. Again, the American League is set. The National League, you still have the 2 spots and 3 teams vying for those 2 spots.
Yep.
So we'll have to wait and see how that plays itself out. The Thursday night game between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants was a flag fest. But the problem I had with the referees, they actually, I believe, and I'm a Giant fan, so have at it, but they had an impact on that game. The one scoring touchdown, they called a holding play, and on Dallas, which enabled them to score that touchdown on that pass, which it was holding. They called it. You could see it. The corner on the Giants was basically held and turned around, grabbed, and moved out of the way. So we figured, okay, that touchdown won't count. And then the referees get together, pick up the flags, and say, touchdown, no holding. And you see in the replay, you could see the hold. Why did they pick up the flag, and why did they change their mind from a holding to a non-holding when clearly it was holding? On replay. I missed something. I mean, the guy got held. I mean, there's no doubt he was out there. The Giant defensive back got held. He was pulled. You could see the jersey, the Dallas Cowboy, it was the running back pulling the jersey on the Giant guy and kind of almost literally grabbing the jersey and moving him out of the way, which enabled Dallas to score the touchdown. So I thought it was holding. I don't think that was a debate, and they called it.
Yep.
But then they picked up the flag and said no. And I can't figure out why. And they didn't really, all the referee said is He didn't even say no hold. He just said touchdown. And then even no foul on the play, touchdown. And I'm like going, you called it. It's obvious. They've replayed it a few times, but they decided not to call it. Then they had the other screw up by the referees, and it impacted the Giants. They had a face mask call on the Giants, but it was actually the Cowboys grabbed the Giant player's face mask, but they called it on the Giant when it was clearly on Dallas. And that was on replay, and you could see that. And even Herb Street and Al Michaels even pointed it out. They go, well, no, they got that wrong. They called it.
I don't think they can. I'm trying to think. I don't know if they could change it, though, from the replay. Not on penalties, they can't.
And I guess that's the problem. And
yeah, they can't.
You're getting to the point, though, in this it's stupidity is why can't New York buzz down to the referees and say, you got it wrong? And then the referees can huddle up and say, yeah, we got it wrong. Well, this is get it right. I know you're right. Technically, they can't. Yeah, you can't challenge. They can change, but they can change it. They can't challenge it.
Yeah, I'm talking about they can't change it by looking at a replay.
No, but they can get the buzz down from somebody in New York.
If they had that, yeah.
Right, and they supposedly do that. They do occasionally. You will get that where the referees, and then they get a buzz down. Somebody from New York is buzzing down to those guys and say, whoa, guys, you got it wrong. And then the referees can huddle up together and say, okay, like the holding call, they had it right, and then they got it wrong. And that allowed Dallas to score a touchdown. The face mask penalty on the Giants basically killed that drive. The Giants had to settle for 3 points because they were that third and long, and then they ultimately was able to get closer back to better field goal position. But had they called it the other way,
drive would have continued.
That would have given the Giants 15 yards closer. Pay potentially could have scored the touchdown.
Yeah.
The other touchdown should have been nullified, not to say Dallas could have ultimately scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
But you just didn't give it to them. They would have moved the ball 15 yards back. Maybe they end up with a field goal, not a touchdown.
Yep. It changed the way you play the game, too.
Play the game. Exactly. So I know people scream and yell that, the referees, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it does.
Well, I think they should have it where they should be able to change it, just like any other replay. You see something, they don't want them to challenge penalties. They should be able to challenge penalty calls and be the same way like other things. Just not spots and stuff. The penalty, that's not we didn't do this or whatever, and check it and see. And then if it's not, then it's not. You can reverse it because those things really change the outcome of games, especially the scoring play. I mean, you should, especially a scoring play or anything in the red zone. If you ask me, anything that they really impacted bad. So I don't know. I'm sure discussion is going to come up. That's going to be automatic because teams going to bring it up. Just if they can get it passed, that's the key. If they can get it passed, and then they can change some things.
Yeah, and I sometimes think college does it better. Because college will they almost say, okay, that's under review.
Yeah, and every scoring play.
Yeah, they under review. They don't challenge. The referees get together. We're going to review that. I know it extends the game out.
Yeah,
and I know some people get upset, but I would rather them get it right. I don't care about watching 10 extra minutes or 20 extra minutes of football anyway. I never complain about the length of a football game.
Right.
I would rather.
And I don't think any fan, just real fans of football, they don't care how long. Well, they would 6 hours straight.
They
of
don't
the game.
care.
And that it's more of a player safety thing, of not having them to have to play so long. So that's the key, making sure that the players are healthy and safe. But yeah, you got to have something to get it right, though.
Well, that's the
main thing.
2 penalties.
Yeah.
Directly had a bad impact on the Giants. Now, whether or not that puts the Giants into a situation or in a position to win the game, we can argue that. Who knows? But they actually did impact scoring especially the touchdown Dallas scored. That wasn't a touchdown. It should have been the holding penalty that the referee called.
Mm-hmm.
and move the ball back, and then you play. Then if Dallas goes on to score the touchdown, so be it.
Right.
And then the Giants situation was that would have moved the ball 15 yards closer for the Giants for the first down. Maybe they do score a touchdown under that drive where they've settled for the field goal. Maybe they get a touchdown. That's 2 potential scoring plays changed, and that's technically could be 11 points different. So that's my take on the game. I know Al Michaels commented on the Flag Fest. He wasn't real happy when he was doing the game as far as the referees. Bottom line is I just wish they would get it right. That's all. I mean, again, I think all in the grand scheme of things, Dallas doesn't go to 1-3. The Giants go to 1-3. Dallas evens up their record after the loss from Baltimore last weekend. And they came back they were too far down in that rabbit hole to come back. And they come up short. Now they're 2-2. Looking at Dallas, I know it's early in the season, but they're not a Super Bowl team.
Well, no, they got to get a lot of stuff fixed. The talent is there, but they got to get stuff fixed, though.
And now you got 2 injuries to deal with. Lawrence and Micah Parsons are out.
Right.
And Micah's got that dreaded high ankle sprain. And that's going to be a problem because those are just nagging injuries. And then I don't know what Lawrence, they said they're both going to be out.
His is a foot injury. So he'll be out longer. He might be out longer than
Micah.
Yeah, because it's hard to, high ankle sprains, it's hard to say about the severity of it. Some people will have them, like Max Crosby, he's out this week.
Right.
But last year he had a high ankle sprain, never missed a game. And see, it all depends on the severity and the player, too. Because some guys just play through enormous pain no matter what. So when I seen that Max Crosby is out, I know he's hurt because that guy doesn't miss anything. He plays through all kind of pain and everything else. So for him to be out, it must be a severe ankle sprain.
And Devontae Adams is also out for the Raiders.
Yep, with a hamstring.
There's
a lot of injuries.
A lot of injuries.
On all kind of teams. I mean, you could go down the list. I was looking at it, and we're not talking about backup guy. We're talking about major players are out. I mean, Deebo Samuels might be back, may not. You got Alvin Kamara. He got some things going on. That's so many players. It's something. I can't believe how many players are out when I was listening.
Cleveland has both their tackles out again. Conklin's out, and their other tackle, the name escapes me, but he's out. So Cleveland will be out. They're out in Oakland. We got to get to the Raiders because what did they not do?
Didn't play. To me, it seemed like it.
And did they decide that Andy Dalton is the next coming of Johnny Unitas? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, but see, remember I was saying that when we was talking about I never downgrade Andy Dalton. That's why when we talk about him, I say that's one guy I put on my team because when he's in Dallas, he was a factor. Everywhere he goes, as a backup, he's a factor. He's a guy that's a veteran that can play. He could play. So, like to see that and say, oh, man, this guy is pretty. He had games like that when he was a starter in Cincinnati. It was the consistency of Andy Dalton that had some problems. And then I think there was a lot of stuff that surrounded Andy Dalton in Cincinnati that wasn't there for him. So I never looked down on that guy at all. So it doesn't surprise me. If you don't be ready to play, I said, when I seen that they said Andy Dalton's a starter, I said, boy, Bryce Young, you might be on the bench for a while because this guy's going to get these guys to get the ball to him in open spaces like he should on time. And that's what happened. Well, Carolina was ruining Bryce Young. It's the best thing that could happen to him to be benched.
Well, some experts believe that analysts are saying that the offensive scheme of the Carolina Panthers fits Andy Dalton's style more than it does Bryce Young. So what's going on potentially in Carolina with Bryce Young, you have a square peg in a round hole. We've talked about this countless times on the show over the years. Is you take a quarterback, you give him you make him learn a new offensive system that he's not comfortable with, and he struggles. Where now you've got the quarterback Jaden Daniels in Washington with Cliff Kingsbury, and Cliff Kingsbury has an offensive scheme that just fits Jaden Daniels like a glove.
Mm-hmm.
And now people are saying Caleb Williams is struggling, but Jaden Daniels seems to be flourishing.
Yeah. And why?
And why?
Same exact thing.
Why is this? Is because Caleb Williams is not playing very well, and he's going obviously through growing pains with the rookie, but is it a situation where how would Caleb Williams be playing if Cliff Kingsbury was his offensive coordinator?
Yeah.
But Jaden Daniels has just tore up the Bengals on Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
It was embarrassing because the Bengals could not stop Jaden Daniels. In fact, the Giants couldn't either, but the Giants kept him out of the end zone.
Right.
But the Bengals couldn't keep them out of the end zone, and they just absolutely abused that Bengal defense, which then leads to believe the Bengals are 0-3. They're in trouble. Their defense looks very suspect here because Jaden Daniels he looked like the All-Pro. You make the argument right now, not only is Jaden Daniels the best of the rookie class, he right now might be one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. His numbers, I mean, he was, I believe, 21 for 23 on Monday night.
Mm-hmm. He had his other games was similar.
And the other
just might not put the ball in the end zone.
Right.
As far as throwing it.
But he's
getting there. But that is the offensive scheme. I don't like how Chicago's offensive scheme is for Caleb Will. Why aren't you rolling him a lot more and different things that he has shown that he could do at USC? You've seen it. They got him dropping back, staying in the pocket. And
they don't have a good line.
Yes, and 5 to 7 step drop. So now he drops back 5 to 7 looks, and they're coming. And he processes quick.
Yeah,
but that quick you can't. And then he got injuries to his receivers. You know, you only had DJ Moore out there, and then backup guys. You know, now you getting those guys back, but it's the offensive system. This doesn't mesh with them. It doesn't. You know, I think it's a different person in there, whole different results. And I've seen it over and over. So, you know, I don't think they cater to what he does best. And I think that's what I would do. I would look at a USC film, Lincoln Riley, even call him Lincoln Riley. What did you do? And then I would incorporate that into my system to make sure that he's a comfortable fit. Because all it's going to do is make it, whenever you're familiar with anything, it's easier. You go to work.
Especially when you're adjusting to the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, you go there, it's going to make it much easier because the game's going to be faster. But if you're in a comfortable thing that you've normally been doing, it comes a lot quicker. That's why you see Jaden Daniels having such good success because, you know,
I mean,
either that or you sit like Patrick Mahomes did and learn the system. So then when he took over, he's just been great ever since. You know, that's just how it is.
I mean, Washington's defense is suspect. The team has flaws. However,
except that defensive line. I love their defensive line.
Right. But when you break it down, when you've got the quarterback playing at Jaden Daniels' level, it's early, but again, the game seems to go to your favor. And I mean,
he's gonna keep you in games against good teams.
Exactly.
Because they do have weapons. There's no doubt about they have some.
He gets the ball to McLaurin. He moves around. He doesn't run he doesn't like people. He run. No, he moves around to find the open guy, and he throws very accurately.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be one of these situations that are already starting with the comparison of last year. Bryce Young struggled. Stroud flourished.
Mm-hmm.
people are saying, looks like it's going there now. Caleb Williams is struggling. Jaden Daniels is this year's Stroud, and he's flourishing.
So far, yep.
And a lot of this, I give credit to Cliff Kingsbury because he's the offensive coordinator and the quarterback guy. And he and Jaden Daniels, he's got a great plan for Daniels that fits Daniels' style of play and strengths. Mm-hmm. And Daniels, I believe, is flourishing a lot with Cliff Kingsbury's system, where unfortunately Caleb is just having a bear of a time with the Chicago Bear offense. And then, you know what? I hate to say this, but it's the Chicago Bears. They always screw up their quarterbacks.
Yeah, they can. I think his confidence level won't because of who he is.
No, right.
But those other guys they had, I think they lacked confidence and they destroyed them guys.
Right.
Only one that didn't get destroyed by Chicago's bad coaching at quarterback was Jim McMahon.
Right.
Because he was so confident in what he could do. He was able to withstand it.
Able to work.
That was terrible as far as quarterbacks then too, but because of him and his mentality, he was able to
work through it. And he had Walter Payton that helped a lot too. But you're right. He had...
you could count on him for big things to happen. So, I mean, that could happen for Caleb, but they got the weapons, but that's the wrong system. You shouldn't be taking 5 and 7.
No.
I wouldn't watch the deep drops. Why?
You don't have a good enough offensive line for him to do that anyway.
I know. You'll make your offensive line look a lot better with quick reads.
Which I think Washington's doing with Jaden Daniels.
All you got to do is look at some of his statistics. Like one game he had, I think he was 20 out of 27 for only 189 yards. Now, what that tells me is he dinking and dunking, and he's hitting the open man quickly. That's what he's doing.
Right.
But Chicago's not doing that. They're doing 5 to 7, get downfield. Yeah, you got guys that could do that, but you don't have the offensive line that can keep guys out of there. So why are you doing that?
And
that's why Jaden Daniels looks so much better because of what they're doing. Get the ball out of his hands quickly.
And he's utilizing Zach Ertz.
Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even...
Saturday morning sports page. Quick timeout. Coming back with the second quarter of the
Discount Power Sports at 778 North Main Street at Hubbard is hosting a raffle for a 125cc Pentora ATV. Tickets are $30 each, and 100 tickets are available. For each raffle, when those 100 are gone, a winner will be drawn and a new raffle will begin. Tickets can be purchased at any Hubbard home game or at 778 North Main Street or by calling 330-717-44441. $1,500 from each raffle will go toward a scholarship for the Hubbard Youth Coalition.
Located in Applewood Estates in Boardman Township, the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club offers a pleasant family environment. Choose a membership that meets your needs and enjoy a relaxing venue that includes not only swimming for the family, but also youth activities such as competitive swimming, tennis, and more. Enjoy the friendly atmosphere all summer long with the staff and members of the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club. For more information, go to applewoodswimandtennis.com or call 330-953-2833.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
let's be real. The odds of a high school athlete getting a college scholarship and making it to the pros are pretty slim. Don't get me wrong, it's okay to dream of becoming a pro athlete, even a famous one. But that's not why I play. My reason why? I love the competition.
My reason why is community.
My reason why is leadership.
My reason why is to challenge myself.
My reason why is love for the game.
And hey, if we don't make it to the pros or onto the cover of Sports Illustrated, that's okay. Because there's every reason to believe we'll excel in something even bigger than sports. We'll excel in life.
There are lots of great reasons to play high school sports. Tell us your reason using the hashtag #MyReasonWhy.
This message presented by the NFHS and the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
Saturday Morning Sports Page, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark, coming back at you. Quarter number 2 of the show. Dave Clark, for the record, Shane Waldron is the offensive coordinator for the Bears, and I'm reading a little snippet from CBS News. It says the honeymoon didn't last long for new Bears offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. After a 1-2 start, Waldron's play calling is taking the blame for all too familiar stagnant scoring drives. And obviously, we see Caleb Williams out there struggling. And you've got to figure they have to figure out, maybe they change the offensive play calling or the scheme, something to adjust to Caleb's style. Like, again, we're getting that. Well, we're going to have this all year. Jaden Daniels is playing like one of the best quarterbacks right now in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And the Commanders are 2-1, surprisingly. And we're going to get into this discussion in the NFC East. Who's the best team in that division as of right now? Just on after 3 games, not to, get crazy. But if you were to say my eye test tells me the Washington Commanders is the best team in that division, followed by the Eagles, who did get a win in New Orleans, but struggled and didn't look good, but they hammered out a win. The Dallas Cowboys didn't look all that great against the Giants on Thursday night, and then the Giants would be last. But I would say right now in that division, I know it's only after 3 games, that the Commanders could be the surprise team of the year, especially if Jaden Daniels continues to play at this level. I mean, the Bengals could not get a defensive stop against him in that game, and they needed it at the end of the game. Bengals needed to stop the Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders, and they could not do it.
Yeah,
and he scored that touchdown at the end of McLaurin that sealed the fate of the Bengals.
Yeah, well, their defense hasn't been playing well at all anyway.
Their defense is not.
It's been getting carved up like crazy, which is kind of surprising. You bring back Von Bell as safety, which helped. Your linebackers, Wilson and Pratt and all, they all was good. Now, they did. I will say this for them, but that ain't got nothing to do with I'm not taking nothing away from Washington. They beat them, and that's what happened. But the defensive line is a mash unit. All the defense, the starting defensive tackles, both of them were out, and a couple of their backups. So, I mean, that's terrible. You don't have no type of defensive line play. And they took full advantage of it. And you can't. This is the NFL. You can't be going into your third team and practice squad guys coming in. That don't mean that they're not decent players, but they're not the caliber of defensive linemen that you normally have that's starting up there for the Cincinnati Bengals. So it's been really, really tough. But, I getting back to that Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, I never compare them because they're in different situations. But I look at it, if I just look on paper, there's no way that Caleb Williams should have to struggle, really. Why do you get a guy like DeAndre Swift to be your lead guy running it, and you're giving the ball 6 times? And he did. We talk about not in just that game, the other games
right.
too. I think the other game he only carried 3.
Right.
What are you doing? What kind of? And then you're trying to make you're always in 3rd and long, but way behind the chains, and you got to throw it, and then you got injuries. But you look at it on paper. You look at was it Roma Donze?
Right, Donze will be back. I guess he was out.
Right, and so will Caleb. Not Caleb, but Keenan Allen will be back also with DJ Moore. Look at that. Cole at tight end. From the tight end is there. I mean, they got everything, the weapons. The offensive line is not great, but it's still an NFL offensive line. So how do you make them better? Screens, short passes inside. That stops the pass rush from coming all the time, just pinning the ears back. No, you drop back 5 to 7 yards, force him to throw downfield. Sometimes he makes some good throws. Sometimes they're incompletions. 2nd and 10. Now you try to run DeAndre Swift. He gets 1 yard. 3rd and 9. They know you're passing. They're coming. They're set up. You're asking for failure. And all you got to do is watch the Chicago Bears game. And I don't watch 2 games so far. And that's the kind of offense they have. You can't do that in the
Cole
NFL.
Kmet's the tight end.
Yeah, Cole Kmet.
And he's a very good tight end.
I mean, they are skilled. You can make your offensive line better. They ain't got to be the top offensive line. But what are you doing? Not screening the ball.
Right.
Different thing.
Well, you see, Jaden Daniels is using Zach Ertz a lot.
Yeah, no.
With the others, but it's almost like, and I thought Zach Ertz was always a very good Philly. He was with the Philly.
He just got injured.
He got hurt a lot, but he owned the Giants. If he played every game against the New York Giants, he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer, because the Giants had no idea where Zach Ertz ever was on the field, because he was always open and they were always getting him the ball over the middle, and he was always getting that first down or whatever. But it just, when I used to listen to the Giants and the Eagles or watch it, the Giants absolutely had no idea where Zach Ertz was at any time on that field, because he was always wide open, and he used to just take the Giants to the woodshed. But now I see him with Washington, and I see how Jaden Daniels is using him, and it just seems like Ertz is just gaining big yards, and Terry McLaurin is also making great catches, and he's on another level with wide receivers. And Jaden Daniels is just utilizing these guys, and he's got a lot of these defensive trying to figure it out. And again, I think it comes down to, you got a guy like a Cliff Kingsbury who's keeping it relatively simple for Daniels, because he knows he's a rookie, but he's got it set up. Daniels knows where he's going with the ball, and he's very good. He's a very accurate passer. And again, you're just watching this young man develop.
Yep. Well, he's good. He's going to be fine. That's what you do. In Chicago, because Swift is a very good receiver. Yes. Receiving back. Why wouldn't you be screening that guy? And then you get him in space.
Right.
That could be a big problem.
Right.
Cole Kmet. Use him on short pass. They got Cole Kmet running deep.
Yeah, what is he?
Why is they doing that?
No. They don't. Washington doesn't run Zach Ertz deep.
No.
He runs those little curls in the middle, 15 yards.
Yep.
And it just seems that anytime Jaden Daniels has any, if he feels the pressure, he's got the ball out of his hand, and it's usually going to Ertz or sometimes Terry McLaurin.
And look if you watch the Chicago game yet, and probably people did see him against Houston, when the rush is on Caleb Williams, where's there anybody to dump it off to? There's nobody around. Because they're all running deep passes.
They're all out in the deep, like you said, they're running deep routes. He starts to, now he's running for his life.
Yeah.
But that's not good, because what happens is, and we see it happen where the quarterbacks get they get a little gun shy, and when the heat comes on, that's their first reaction.
Yeah.
Where Jaden Daniels isn't really doing it because Kingsbury's got the quick outs and he's not feeling the pressure. Now, granted, it's the Bengals, so I don't want to, the Bengals defense isn't anything to write home about anyway. But so far in 3 games, Jaden Daniels is really looking really good, like he's got a handle on the offense. And
he simplified it for him and
simplified it enough.
That makes it easier for him. That's why I can't read it until I see, because I watched them to Washington, and that's what they use. They make sure he got places to go with the ball, and if he doesn't have anywhere to go, he'll try to run it if he see it, or just throw it out. And that's what they got him doing. So it's been very comfortable for him, and that's good. That's good. Whereas they looking for Caleb to come in, make big plays, which is fine. You want him to do it, but you got to let him just take what they give him at first. Just do those things. A little short. You got the players to do it, but that's not the scheme they're running. And I just don't know why they keep recycling guys. If I'm hiring a guy, I don't want to talk about anybody, but I'm just saying, if I know Shane Waldron was in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, and that wasn't working too well, he was out of there, they go and get a different coordinator before the season was over, and talk to Joe Barry, who was down at LSU, find out all the things they did that was good for Joe Burrow, and then incorporate it. And then Joe Burrow, only thing that's been stopping him is injury. That guy's been good since. So why would but you bring a guy now, the number 1 pick, you bring a guy like Shane Waldron to be the guy that, and it's been problems with him as an offensive coordinator. I just don't understand it. Like they said, they should have got what's his name, Bevel.
Darrell
Bevel. They thought that he would be good. Favre said it when he was on the radio on the NFL Network. He said that's who he thought when they was trying to see who they were going to get. He said, I think he'd be perfect because when you're a young quarterback, he's a guy to always simplify things for the young quarterback so they can grow. He said that's who helped him after he left Atlanta and came to the Packers. And he just developed him, and he just grew into who he was. He was a gunslinger all the time, but then this guy gave him even more confidence because he made things simpler for him. And I just don't know.
Let's slide
Bears
over.
Better find out quick.
They're going to find out real quick. The other, and we'll get it to our games pick, but the other quarterback who's really having a lot of problems in the end, he's really struggling is Watson for the Browns. I know they've got the tackles out and they're out again this week.
That's something else.
And that's one problem, but I got news. I watched the Giants and the Browns. I got news for you. Watson was just overthrowing people, missing guys.
Wide open.
He had no pressure on him. Amari Cooper, he overthrow. Oh my God. He's just, I don't know if it's a confidence issue. I don't know if it's other things on his mind. I know they have issues with the line. The Giants put a lot of pressure on him. I got it. But man, there were plays time and time again, and they lost last week to the Giants. And I'm just kind of figuring, when does Stefanski? You got to win football games.
Yeah, he might have to go to Watson.
Do you basically Jameis Winston?
You got to go.
When do you? They have a tough game with the Raiders, who coming off a bad loss, and now they don't have 2 of their players.
Yeah,
but if Watson continues to play like this, where he's missing guys wide open, and you lose again, you go to 1-3. How many games do you allow Watson? Because I think
this is it. I think this is it. For me. This is it. I have to. I'm gonna go out there. The Raiders got 2 of their key players. But they got 3 other starters that's not playing either. I forgot who they said. It's 3 more that's not playing.
So
they actually out 5 key starters. Now you got to go in there. Now, one thing that's always dangerous: a team that's wounded, and you got a coach like Pierce, it might get you really fired up to go. But that's besides the point. You got to do something. Watson's got to do something. Now, one thing, I I never really criticized Stefanski, but the only thing I will criticize for him, because he's a part of the deal too. You know that Watson came to your team. Why him he's a very good play caller, but why didn't you change your offense to the Houston Texans offense that Watson ran?
Played in, flourished in.
They've never changed it. No. It's always been Stefanski's system. He's never changed anything. It was where Watson had to fit that and try to get it. And that's not making no excuse for him. You're an NFL quarterback. You got to be making those throws. I don't care what system you're in. So I'm not giving him no breaks on that. But I just never understood that with the Browns. Especially a guy like Stefanski, coach of the year. Why didn't you change anything? Why didn't you never made the offense like that and made it comfortable? Because it's not that offense. That's not what they ran when he was in Houston. And he needs some familiarity to that. I just feel this is going to happen. They're going to get rid of him from the Browns. He's going to go somewhere else, and all of a sudden flourish, and because it just happens to the Browns over and over. I don't know why.
Well, that won't happen because
of his contract,
because of the cap hit.
Yeah. Well, one more year. He's good. He got to play 2?
He got 2 years. The way that Watson's contract, because of the dead cap money, and I know people say, well, they can kind of work around the dead cap money. I know they do.
Yeah, I've
but
seen
not not this dead cap money.
Well, I know I was reading
because the dead cap money is
Oh, it's high.
Oh my!
But what is his name? That Bill Polian, when he was on, he said they still could get rid of him, but it would be major. You could do it. He says no doubt you could do it, but you don't want to do that because it puts your team back several years.
Yeah,
back. But I mean, he said, what you going to do? You can't have a guy making that much money just sitting on your bench either.
But you got to win football games,
right? And if he's not winning them,
and therein lies the quandary: is break it down to brass tacks. You don't have. I know what he's saying. In theory, he's right.
Yeah, he could do it.
However,
don't want
to. But you just can't do it because the dead cap money this year, if they got rid of him, is $200 million dead cap.
Right.
The cap hit is only $27 million. However, next year, the cap hit is $72 million, but they still have $172 million dead cap. Mm-hmm. I mean, Denver when they got rid of Wilson, their dead cap hit was $85 million. Mm-hmm. So this year and next year, they're not getting rid of him. They're into the year. Okay.
Yeah, they're not. Definitely not.
Next year, it's going to be tough because the cap hits 72, but dead cap's 172. The following year, the cap hit is still 72 million. The dead cap is only 99 million. So for the sake of the discussion, he's not going anywhere this year or next year. The following year after that, 2026, they could probably pull it off, but it's going to be hard to do. But if the cap continues to go up, they might be able to part
and it
ways.
Probably will go up.
So
it's the NFL.
It's NFL. It'll go up. But the point on it is with Watson is his contract and the way that the cap hit and the dead cap money lay out.
Yeah, well, no, you don't want to do it, but that's what Polian said. This is one situation. If he was in that situation and they gave him the scenarios, he said we'd have to do it. He said because the thing about it, if you keep on waiting and then you get rid of them when it's better for you, it may not be. You done now the guys that you have in their prime to be able to make any kind of playoff run, they're not in their prime no more.
Yeah,
so you're basically in a total rebuild. He said, so if you want to try to get anything out of it, you might have to do it, pull the plug on it. It's going to be hard to do. It's going to be damaging. He said, but you knew that going in when you made that deal. So it's a deal. He said, I'm sure. He said a lot of people might be on Stefanski, might be on Barry. the GM. He said, but the real bottom line is the owner. The owner wanted it. He said, because he's the only one that can give the okay to do this thing.
He signed that up. Yeah,
he signed off on that to do it. Yeah, he wanted him so bad. He said, give it to him guaranteed. And that's what happened. And that probably wouldn't have happened. Because if you notice, Barry was negotiating at first. They had no deal. Matter of fact, they said it looked like it was down the tubes. And then all of a sudden they came back and Washington signed. And it was Haslam who said, hey.
Haslam came in and dropped.
He said, no, we got to get this guy now. We need a franchise quarterback. And I understood that, but not like that. He overruled those guys.
He overruled those guys, and the two offers that were on the table, Atlanta and Carolina, which was like the $160 million variety, but it's the money over a period of time, not all guaranteed. He just came in and overrode it and gave him a full-blown guaranteed deal, the $230 million variety of guaranteed money, and no one's ever really have done that since.
Right.
But he was the first and now the only one to give a fully guaranteed deal.
Right.
Now they're giving guaranteed money, but they're also it's a little different. It's not, this was just Jack full 100% guaranteed money. So the problem they have is he's there for this year and next year. I don't know how he's, to give you an idea, the cap league, he's 26 next year. His salary is 26% of the league cap.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the year after that, it's 24% of the league cap, almost 25%. So it's a quarter of the league cap. So that means you have 75% to sign other people of the league cap. You got more than a quarter of your cap in one guy.
Yeah, no. And that's
just insane.
Yeah. And Bill Polian said it's terrible, but he would have to do it. He said the reason, he said, because Haslam's not going to get fired. He's the owner.
No, he can't fire the owner.
But Barry and Stefanski would.
They will.
And they'll blame them, but they're not the culprit. Only thing I say for Stefanski is he never changed anything on offense to put him into that Houston Texans scheme. I don't understand that.
I think what ultimately he does, I think after this week, if they lose to the Raiders and Watson plays horrible.
Yeah, that's the key. If he's terrible
terrible and he looks like he's like he did against the Giants, I think what you basically have to do is you have to win football games because you can't be 1-3. You could still salvage your season especially in that division, because the Bengals are 0-3, could be 0-4. The Ravens, they have a real tough game. They've got the Buffalo Bills this week. Could they go to? They could go to 1-3 too. But if you're the Browns, you have to be looking at the potential of, okay, we need to win football games, and it's now the Jameis Winston show.
Yeah, well, they have to. I mean, if he plays bad, and the thing that's going to be bad for Watson, this is the bad scenario for him. He could play pretty good. If they lose, he's still going to get some consideration of being the guy why they lost, because he's been playing so bad.
That's what the problem is.
The perception is you lost again. That's your starting quarterback. Get him out of there, even if he plays well. But, I mean, he has to really shine big time and lose to stay the starting quarterback. If he's out there struggling, throwing the ball over guys in the dirt and all, it's time to go to Winston.
You have to.
And just
because you got to win football games.
Yeah. And you still got a chance.
And right.
Because Pittsburgh's 3-0, but that's a shaky 3-0. Right. And thinking about that, I said they just been able to get by. They're not going to do that soon,
one bright side of that is Justin Fields is improving every game. He's getting comfortable in the system, and he's improving every game. He also said this. He said, Justin Wilson said it on a podcast. I read it. He said that the coaching in Pittsburgh is just so much better than it was in Chicago.
Oh, yeah, well, it is. We know that.
Point.
Even though I won't downgrade the head coach.
Right.
Because that guy is a very good defensive coordinator and knows his stuff, but overall, as a coaching staff,
he's saying the coaching he's getting more from the coaching from Tomlin and that offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And he is improving his game. So I thought it was kind of ironic that and then I'm thinking poor Caleb Williams is over in Chicago with the bad coaching.
Yeah, well, some of it. I mean, Waldron's new, but he's worse than, I won't say he's worse. He's close to the guy that was there last year. Where is he at now? He's at the Raiders.
He's at the Raiders.
Getsy. That guy's terrible too. And I hated that they had to go to him. He was stuck. Pierce was stuck and had to get Getsy instead of, because remember they had,
Cliff Kingsbury.
They did.
There.
Almost had it signed, already done. And then he flipped and went somewhere else. So
he went to, he go to Washington?
He went to Washington.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, So, I mean, Getsy is terrible. Waldron is terrible. You got to get, I don't know if I think Darrell Bevel is with somebody as an offensive assistant somewhere, but he's not the offensive coordinator. No. But you got to get a guy. You can't let these guys with talent like that go to waste. I mean, you can't ruin them. You can't ruin them.
I get
running the ball, Chicago Bears. You better start running the ball and screen passes. You gotta. I mean, DeAndre Swift is so dynamic.
You're going to ruin Caleb Williams.
Well, with them 5 to 7 step drops, you are.
I'll tell you one thing. It was the best thing that ever happened to Justin Fields as he got to the Steelers. I think that was the best career. And I don't know if he came out and said that or some people are saying that.
Well, it's better coaching.
And that's what he said.
Yeah,
he said, I've got better coaching here.
There's no doubt that.
I'm
not sold coaching on it yet for the Steelers until they start.
No,
I got to see who they play.
They start, but they've improved. He is improving. He makes good. He's getting his confidence. He's getting the system down, and he's getting comfortable within the system. It's taken him a couple games, but you have to expect that.
Yeah. Well, the main thing they're doing now, they're running the football, and they got to keep doing that because
they run the football.
That's the only thing that could keep him.
It helps
safe.
him, but then that helps. But he's really starting to at least develop. He seems to have confidence, and the system seems to be better for him. Yeah. Where in Chicago, he was always a man on fire running around we're seeing Caleb Williams going through.
Yeah, they have him throwing down the field, too.
Again, I think that it gets back to it's the Chicago Bears. You go back to what's the common denominator for the quarterback to fail? It's the Bears. The Bears just set up the quarterbacks to fail. I don't care who's the quarterback. They go to Chicago and they're going to have a better chance to fail.
Yeah. Well, I just don't,
Because look at Fields is happier and doing better in Pittsburgh, and Caleb is struggling, and then Jaden Daniels is playing unbelievably great. He's probably glad he didn't get drafted by the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Saturday morning sports page. We got the picks to do. Second half of the show on Western Reserve Radio.
You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
Meludic Live is your home for high school sports. We have all the scores on our social media platforms throughout the games. Enjoy our timely updates from local area schools year-round. You won't get the consistency and reliability from anyone else. Our number one priority is servicing our fans and getting them live news as it's happening. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Meludic_Live. And remember, our fans come first.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football. or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
Saturday morning sports page coming right back at you. Western Reserve Radio, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. We're coming into the third quarter. Let's get to our NFL picks, Dave Clark. We had a rough week last week, and we are tied for the year. For the record, not that as we go through, we are both for the year to date, we're 21, 25, and 2. We're 4 under 500.
Okay.
So we want to do better. But it's been a tough year. These games have been all over the board. Last week, those upsets were just left and right. I mean, who thought the Raiders were just basically not going to show up against the Panthers? Yep. And Andy Dalton is now all of a sudden they have hope in Carolina, which now they seem to have the quarterback for their offensive scheme. This will be interesting to see, can he right that ship?
Yeah, because, I mean, he got some talent. I mean, he showed they got some talent there. Showed the defense was happy, too. The defense was like, wait, we got offense going?
Yeah, we got the offense. And he's got the defense back. At least they've got confidence because now you've got the offensive side of the ball. And Andy Dalton's very productive and had a great game against the Raiders. And they had a big win against the Raiders.
Yep.
So now people are thinking maybe moving forward, Carolina Panthers can at least not be the doormat in the division.
Yeah. I hate to see guys get released the fourth week of the season, but Antonio Pierce already said we're going to see what these guys are made of because his team captains all agreed with him. It was guys making business decisions last Sunday. Actually showing up third week of the season and like making decisions. I'm not going to tackle here and I'm tired or whatever. I'm just going to make a paycheck this week. And they said they was kind of surprised because they seen how much potential they had. Yeah, they don't have the top flight quarterback, but if you got a guy that could just manage the game and then do the other things, you got guys that can make plays. You can still be in every game. These guys did not play that whole. It was certain guys that did not play like they know. Yeah, just like how do you do that?
That checked out.
Yeah, they want their check though. So guys might be playing like their hair on fire this week or they're going to be out of a job.
Yeah. It sounds potentially like that could be the case.
Yeah, and you don't want to get labeled with that because when that happens and if it's a respected guy that makes that claim, a lot of teams will not pick you up. It's a bad thing. So I think guys will be playing crazy this week.
Oh, it'll be it. Yeah.
They're going to have to.
Week 4 is upon us. Let's go to week 4, Dave Clark.
1/4 of the season now.
I don't get this. These point spreads are all over the board. I'm just going to go with the ones that I took this morning. But I look, these things are crazy. Let's go to the Saints at the Falcons today. I got the Falcons -3. So the Saints get 3 points on the road at Atlanta, -3. Saints were lost last week to the Eagles, 15-12 on a game they probably should have won, but the Eagles converted that 3rd and 16 play, and that just seemed to turn that game. And again, the Saints were in position to win it. A lot of people do question the Eagles head coach as far as his play calling and going for field goals. I didn't watch much.
Instead of going for it. I watched it. Their defense was put a hurting on the Saints.
Right.
I mean, they really banged them up. The defense played well, but the offense will be going good and then they sputter. I don't understand some of the play calling.
Some people are trying to figure out what's wrong with Hurts. He's not playing he's erratic.
I don't think he's comfortable. The system is different.
It's
not the same system now. You got to remember that
got him to the Super Bowl.
Right. That's not the system. That guy is in Indianapolis, I believe.
Yeah.
So you're not going to flourish the same when you put another guy in. It's Kellen Moore, who's a good offensive coordinator, but is his system, is he fitting it to Jalen Hurts, or is he just putting his system in?
And having Hurts adjust to the system and he's struggling.
And that's a lot when a guy's been a MVP candidate and played at a high level, and then all of a sudden you got to start thinking again. When you think you don't play as well, people don't understand that. They say, what do you mean you think? Well, when stuff just comes so easily to you, it's not really thinking. It's just automatic, it's just second nature. So you just do it. So when you start seeing guys thinking they're going to have problems, they're going to throw interceptions, they're going to do all kind of stuff.
Yeah, it almost has to be.
Yeah, it's got to be on point.
Can't think, you got to react.
And they'll be I'm not concerned. I think they can win the division, all that, but they will not get to a Super Bowl with that kind of play calling.
No.
They can't.
They're struggling.
They got too much talent to be doing what's going on, too.
Too much. The Falcons, what's your take? You want to lay the 3 and take the Saints on the road?
I did want to take the Saints. I hate that Chris Olave.
But Olave's
he got injured at practice.
He's considered questionable. It says the Demario Davis hamstring is out. Cesar Ruiz, his knee is out. Wide receiver A.T. Perry's out. Alvin Kamara, Olave, and Cedric Wilson, the wide receiver junior. Cedric Wilson Jr., they're questionable. So Olave's questionable with Kamara, with the ribs. And then Falcons have their offensive tackle, Caleb McGarry, out with the knee. So that's how the injury plays out for the Saints at the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
So
Saints getting 3.
They get 3 points on the road.
I'm going to take this game is always like that.
Yeah, it is.
It's tight.
It's always tight. This will always, and if they go, when it goes to the other way, Falcons at the Saints, it'll be
same way,
3 points. This is always.
I'm just going to take the points. I just go
and
Saints.
Take the Saints and the points.
I just take them.
Falcons lost last week to the Chiefs 22-17. Saints lost last week. They're both coming off bad losses. Eagles lost. They lost to the Eagles 15. This is almost like I will go ahead and I'll take the home team. I'll take the Falcons and lay the 3 because I could flip a coin, and that's how I feel about this game. The next game is the Rams at the Bears, and that's a 3-point. The Bears actually giving 3 points to the Rams. The Rams were beaten last week, came back and beat the 49ers 27-24. The Bears lose to a terrible Colt team 21-16. The Bears lay 3 points. The Rams are coming. They're not coming totally east. They're coming to the Midwest. There's a 2-hour time difference. But the Rams are at Chicago, and they get 3 points.
Oh, man, that's hard.
And Cooper Kupp is out, and Davis Allen, tight end, is questionable for the Rams. The Bears have a lot of players out. They got Steven Carlson, tight end. Zach Pickens has a groin issue. Terrell Smith has got a hip. They're all out. Keenan Allen and Andre Billings and Kevin Byard, the fullback, they're all questionable. So a lot of injuries here to kind of go through it. Oduzze will be back for the Chicago Bears. Rams have a mash unit, but I think they've got the best coach in football in McVay, or one of the best coaches in the league.
Yep.
He won last week with a B team and Stafford.
Yep. And Stafford was putting the ball
and
on
he
the
put
money.
The ball where he needed to, and they pulled out that big win against the 49ers. They come east. and they've got the Bears, and the Bears have not even looked good. Even when they've won against Tennessee, they didn't look good.
No.
And they've got 2 losses. They're 1-2, and they're not playing well. And they lost to a Colt team. And Richardson, poor Richardson just seems to be struggling too. Another rookie second-year quarterback. He just can't
like
complete passes. But he's actually like a rookie year because he missed his whole rookie.
Games.
So again,
this is a hard pick though because big emotional win for the Rams.
Yeah, big.
Now you go East, or Midwest. Can you?
I'm going to take the Rams.
I know. I mean, they're getting 3, right?
Yeah. I'm going to take the points in the Rams. I just feel.
Got this funny feeling the Bears is going to.
But the Bears could be due for a big win.
No,
because that's the way they're 1-2. Do they go to 1-3? Anyway, I've started looking at these. Who is more apt to be 1-3, the Rams or the Bears? I'm starting to look at these games.
Yeah.
The only reason why I took the Giants, when we both took the Giants Thursday night, is because I thought the Giants with 6 points could keep it close. And I was lucky. We were lucky because the guy missed the 50-yard field goal for the Bears, so the Giants Giants were able to cover.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm looking at this as who's more apt to be 1-3.
I'm going to say that.
And then you got
the way you look at it is the Bears is going to be.
Because I've been looking at the way they're playing, and I think the Rams are on an uptick a little bit, even though they've got injuries. But
they just play tough.
But they play tough, and I think McVay's a better coach.
Yeah, he is, and he's worth 3 points. And you're giving him 3.
And the quarterback is, you've got.
That's a veteran quarterback.
Right.
The system is for him.
And I think McVay is going to drive poor Caleb crazy with defensive scheme because he knows this guy is a rookie. He's struggling. He's watching film and he knows what they do. And I just think it's going to be a situation where McVay is going to be able to, put more pressure on. But hey, who knows?
I'm going to remember this game. I'm going to pick the Rams too, but I got a feeling. I'm going to see if my feeling is right that the Bears is going to win.
Okay.
And win convincingly, but I don't know. I mean, when you look at it, it seems like it's all.
Knows. Yeah,
it is. The Rams have been playing. I mean, you talking about that game that was no fluke.
No.
They just came back, dug down deep, and took care of San Fran.
Yeah, they did. That's exactly what it was.
They did. And you can't say, well, San Fran was missing all kind of people. Did you see that mass unit that the Rams was playing with?
I know.
A mass unit.
They were.
Practice squad guys and everything, they came back.
Vikings are at the Packers.
Oh, 3-0 against 2-1, right?
Yep. And Vikings had a big win last week against the Texans, 34-7. We got that one right. The Titans got destroyed by Green Bay, 30-14. And actually, the Packers are giving the Vikings 2 and a hook.
They're giving the Vikings 2 and a hook.
Vikings get 2 and a hook. They're the road team.
I'm gonna take them. I'm gonna take the Vikings in the 2 and a hook.
Viking has the linebacker Ivan Pace out. Let's see. Jordan Love is questionable.
Mm-hmm.
You want the Vikings?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Vikings.
Me too. Although they're almost due to lose to go 4-0, but
yeah. I mean, they seem like
they're almost due for a bad game. But I'll go with them. Let's go to the Steelers are at the Colts. And the Colts get 2 and a hook. Yeah. I like the Steelers. I know it. This is a game they will probably lose because it's on the road. The Colts are kind of almost due for a decent game.
And they can, how many points?
2 and a hook. The Colts get 2 and a hook. Home dog. That's less than a field goal. I like the Steelers. I know I've pulled 2. Actually, I've gone with 3 road teams so far.
Yeah, can I make it? I guess I'm going to make it another one. I'm going to go with the Steelers too. But for some reason, they play funny in Indianapolis.
And Indianapolis is weird. Right. I don't know. It's the dome. It's the turf.
I mean, back to the Ben Roethlisberger. They always had issues, but I'm going to go with them right now. Let's see.
Let's go to the Broncos at the Jets.
Oh, boy.
This is 7 and a hook.
Wow.
So the Broncos get 7 and a hook on the road. They come off a really big win against the Bucs. Tampa Bay 26-7. I don't know what happened to Tampa Bay. They fell asleep at the wheel on that. The Jets took care of the Patriots on Thursday night, so they're on additional rest. Laying 7.5 to the visiting Broncos, 1 o'clock CBS, Dave Clark. And
I'm going to take the... Oh, man. This is out in Denver, right?
What's that?
Oh, no, it's in New York.
No, it's in New York. The Broncos have offensive tackle Morgan Moses out with the knee, and C.J. Mosley is doubtful with the toe, the linebacker. Mm-hmm. And Broncos have safety J.L. Skinner out with an ankle.
I'm gonna take the 7.5 with the Broncos.
I'll go home.
I can't believe it.
I know. I'm gonna take the Jets.
I can't believe I'm taking that.
Well, no, that's a good bet because
I mean it's tough.
The Broncos could be. Maybe they've turned the corner. They're improving. I just like the way Rodgers looked Thursday night, and I think they're going to exploit the Broncos. But that 7.5 is bothersome because you could lose it on the hook. Mm-hmm. Eagles are at the Buccaneers, 2 points. So another home dog. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are getting 2 points against the Philadelphia Eagles. Devontae Smith is out with a concussion. A.J. Brown and Lane Johnson are out. Or questionable. A.J. Brown's got the hamstring. Lane Johnson's got a concussion. They're listed as questionable. The Buccaneers have Cansey, the calf. He's DL. He's out. Antoine Winfield Jr. is out with the foot. And then Jalen Moore is doubtful. Bucky Irving is a hamstring. Cameron Johnson ankle. They're all questionable. And Cameron Johnson is questionable. Looks like a mash unit. A lot of injuries for the Tampa Bays. Eagles have their fair share of them, but not quite on the Tampa Bay level. But Tampa Bay gets 2 points at home.
Yeah, I'm going to take Philly.
And, that game is going to be interesting because they had that hurricane blew through there, and there was a lot of flooding in Tampa.
Yeah, no.
So I don't know if that's going to impact that game. The flooding issue is people getting in and out, getting the floodwaters down, and I'm sure they will be by Sunday, hopefully.
Yeah,
and
hopefully so.
They've had, that was a severe hurricane blowing through there this week. Did a lot of damage and rain and wind. But what do you say?
I'm taking
you taking your Eagles?
Yeah.
And lay the points.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game to me is a coin flip game. And I don't know which way I want to go here. The Eagles don't look all that great, but I thought Tampa Bay was doing good. And then I'll take Bucks at home. I'll take a home dog here. Mm-hmm. Although they have more injuries, I might switch back. Let's go to the Bengals at the Panthers, and the Panthers are getting 4.5 at home. Mm-hmm. So if the Panthers get 4.5, they've got the new Andy Dalton quarterback. Bengals, the Bengals are 0-3. The sense of urgency on the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to go. You've got to get on the road and win.
Yeah, I know.
You cannot go down there and you can't lose. I'm sorry. You can't go 0-4.
Can't. And Andy Dalton is 2-1 against the. I heard that the other day against the Bengals since he's been gone.
Since he's gone.
Yeah. Wherever he's been and had to take over as a starter.
Right.
He played them and he's 2-1 against the Bengals. And that's why they were good. I mean, not that they're not good now. They got all the play. They're just not playing well at all. All kind of problems there. So they're missing some major guys, though. They don't think they missed a Joe Mixon. Yes, they are.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I got news for you.
Yeah, they thought that, we'll fix. No. Joe Mixon, you miss him. So, I don't know. I'm just going to say they in such a must-win thing. I think they win. You said 4.5 though, right?
Yeah, Carolina is getting 4.5, a home dog. They're on the Bengals are on the road.
I got to take the Bengals. They have to win, and they need to win convincingly to let people know they're still in this thing and ready to go. But this is it.
They've got the injuries on the Bengals. Read Trent Brown is out, offensive tackle out with a knee.
Starter.
D-line, Sheldon Rankins is out with a hamstring.
That's a starter.
B.J. Hill hamstring is doubtful.
That's the starter. That's their 2 defensive tackles out again.
And then tight end Tanner Hudson is questionable with the knee, and
they deep at
Anthony is out with questionable, their safety. Dejon Anthony has got an quote illness. He's questionable. They've got the Panthers have Lonnie Johnson, corner out, Damon Lewis, guard out, and Shai Tuttle out with a foot. He's the D tackle. A lot of injuries here too.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and take
Bengals
the Bengals.
and lay the points.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'll go Bengals too. Although I hate the 4.5 bothers them because the 3 point. I mean, the Bengals could win by 3 and lose, and it could be that kind of game.
Could be, but I'm looking. They have to rebound. You need big gains from Burrow and Chase, and not just get T. Higgins involved. Throw him the football. I don't know what Burrow's doing. You don't even throw him the football. Come on.
Yeah, I can't see if I hate to say it, but if the Bengals go down there and lose to the Panthers, their season's over at 0-4.
Yep.
I'm sorry. You can't be 0-4.
It's going to be, if they lose to them, it's going to be so much disarray.
And that's going to be the other problem. You're going to lead to a lot of other problems with the locker room, and the coaching staff has got a real problem on their hands. They've got to get down there, and like you said, they got to show us win. The next one is the Jags are at the Texans.
That's another team that's in trouble.
The Jags get 6 points. The Texans had a bad loss last week up in Minnesota, 34-7. And obviously we saw the Monday nighter, the Bills just absolutely dismantled the Jags.
Yeah.
I mean, they look like a lost ball in high weeds, man.
Yeah.
But the Jags just seem to be like coming apart. I mean, they got a bunch of money invested in Lawrence, not playing that good.
No.
Now, you got the coach.
Yeah, he's on the hot seat.
His seat's burning.
And
and the owner has got all the money invested and even has said it. This is my best team. I've invested all this money in this team.
Yeah. Yes. He's got talent out there, but Lawrence is playing bad. I mean, Peterson hasn't elevated him to where he needs to be.
And the defense looks bad. I mean, Josh Allen just carved them up on Monday night. I mean, he just had a field day.
I'm taking the Texans. I mean, I think they'll bounce. After that beating they took, they're going to want to rebound.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Texans, lay the 6 points. Let's go to the Commanders at the Cardinals. That is basically Cardinals the Cardinals give the Commanders 3 and a hook. So the Commanders are on the road off a Monday night win in Arizona, traveling west, and Commanders Austin Eckler is out with a concussion, and D-end Farrell is out with the knee, and so is Jamison Crowder. Crowder is out with a calf. So they got 3 guys out. And Cardinals have Trey McBride out.
That's big right there. That's a big.
And the defensive line, Tonga, he's out with a knee.
Yeah, so, I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals.
And lay the points.
Yeah. I'm going to try something different.
Yeah, you know what? Boy, I don't know on this. Yeah, I think, do you think that ultimately the Commanders are going to come down to earth a little bit?
Yeah, I think
their defense, it's not so much. This could be a high scoring game too.
Could be.
It could be like a back and forth who has the ball last kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
But usually the teams that win on Monday night kind of lay the egg on
the
follow. I'm going to go with the Cardinals too, because I think the Commanders going west after a short week. I think they're going to struggle out there on the West Coast, or West Coast, but out west. Let's move to the Patriots at the 49ers. This is the biggest point spread of the week. 10 points. The Patriots get 10 points. 49ers are kind of a train wreck on the injury end. Deebo Samuel is out. Trent Williams. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Deebo is questionable with Trent Williams is also questionable. Left tackle. Linebacker D. Winter is also questionable with Jordan Elliott is questionable. Curtis Robinson, linebacker, is out for the 49ers.
I'm going to take San Fran. Giving up a boatload, right?
Boatload of points, though. Yeah, I've got to go with the 49ers on a bounce back. Next one is the Browns with the Raiders. This is going to be a tough game because they've got a lot of injuries on both sides of the football. Jack Conklin is out for the Browns. What's his name? David Njoku is out, tight end. Pierce Strong is out with a hamstring, and Jedrick Wills is out with a knee. And then Devontae Adams is out with a hamstring. Michael Mayer is out. And the linebacker, Diabo, is out for the Raiders. With the Cameron Richardson is out. He's the corner with a hamstring. Crosby now has been upgraded to, I thought he was out, but he's upgraded to doubtful. That's big. And Thayer Munford, the tackle, is doubtful.
Yeah.
Two big guys.
And they all starters.
They all start.
I'm going to take the...
And obviously...
Take the Browns. The Browns getting points, right?
2.5.
Yeah, I take them. We're going to see what they do here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm...
Against my team. I can't believe I'm going against them.
The Browns always have trouble out there, but the Raiders, I don't have, like I said, he's iffy on the quarterback, Gardner Minshew. I'm going to take Browns too on a bounce back. And I just think I think the Raiders having those two players out, Max Crosby, if he's not playing, that Raider defense, it's not the same because he drives everything. Chiefs are at the Bolts. The San Diego, we still call them the San Diego Chargers. The Bolts are getting 7 and a hook at home against the Chiefs.
Oh, I don't know. Herbert, I thought he was coming back. I was trying to see if I could find anything, but I don't see it.
Here, let me see.
I thought he was going to play. It's questionable health, I think.
We'll get to that and wrap it up. It looks like Bosa and Colson and Slater are out for the Bolts. We'll get that pick and finish them up and get to the college after this timeout on Western Reserve Radio.
Accidents happen. That's why you need Repair That Glass. Specializing in windshield replacement and all other auto glass, we offer a full range of automotive glass repairs. Our technicians can do everything from minor chip repair to a complete replacement. Your windows don't go up or down, they can fix that too, along with custom glass work and antiques. Repair That Glass is a family-run business for over 40 years. Repair That Glass. Call for your appointment now at 330-534-3192.
Green light, let's get it. Green light, let's get it. Green light, let's get it.
The Mahoning Valley Federals is the area's minor league football team. After only 2 years in existence and an appearance in the league playoff semifinal game, the Federals are looking to add Valley High School and college talent to help take the next step toward a league championship. For more information on how to become part of the Federals' journey, go to Facebook at the Mahoning Valley Federals Developmental Football Team or contact General Manager John Galbraith at 330-540-1099. The Mahoning Valley Federals, honoring the football tradition in the Valley.
Lena's Pierogi House is your home for the area's best variety of pierogies. Daily specials include the Polish platter, the Hungarian platter, stuffed cabbage, and halushki. Having a last-minute get-together? Lena's has you covered with a wide variety of frozen take-home pierogies and dumplings. Go to Facebook at Lena's Pierogi House to see the weekly lineup of available flavors for dine-in or carry-out. Catch the best at Lena's Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20 North Main Street in Hubbard, or call 234-254-8532.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Ohio, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who play high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
The Saturday Morning Sports Page coming right back at you. Let's go ahead, Dave, and finish this. We're going to take the Bolts, San Diego Chargers. We still call them the San Diego Chargers because they are. We're not going to talk about the Oakland A's leaving. Another story. I'll get to that maybe in a bit.
As well.
Okay.
Rat infested.
Yeah, rat
rodents everywhere.
Rodents, whatever they had. Possums. Possum.
Yeah,
I had a possum nest in.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's crazy. But anyway, we're doing that. Let's go to the Bills at the Ravens. This is the Sunday nighter. This is really big, obviously. 2 point, 2 and a hook. Ravens are giving the Bills 2 and a hook. Terrell Bernard is out for the Bills. He's the linebacker. Grable is the offensive tackle. He's questionable. And Johnson is out. Forearm, he's out.
Yeah, I'm going to take, I got to take Buffalo.
Okay. So, I got to go Bills too. I'll take the points on the Bills. Titans are at the Fins. Minus Fins lay are giving the Titans 1 point. So the Titans get a point on the road against the Fins. The Miami's got, the quarterback situation's a mess. The Titans are kind of a mess. I guess this is who's the bigger train wreck, the Titans or the Dolphins?
I know. You know what?
And they're 1-2 and 0-3. Titans are 0-3. Fins are 1-2.
They're giving up a point.
Yeah, Titans get a point here.
I'm gonna take Miami. The Skylar Thompson.
Is he going to play or no?
No, he's not starting. Tyler Huntley.
Tyler Huntley's going to play. He used to play for the Ravens, right?
And he played for the Browns.
And the Browns.
Yeah, and he's a guy that can make plays with his legs, get out on the edge. Now we see a guy that's going to throw the ball down the field. I'm taking him.
I'll take the Titans because I just think Miami's got one of the worst offensive lines. And if Will Levis doesn't turn the ball over, they win. They wouldn't be 0-3. They would probably be 2-1.
Right.
I'll take it that he's righted the ship. I think that Miami's just is bad. But I think maybe to your point, they're home, they're due. Let's go to Seattle at the Lions. 3 and a hook. Seattle gets the other Monday nighter. These are the dual Monday nighters. Titans at Fins are 7:30 on ESPN. 8:15 is the Seahawks at the Lions at 8:15 ABC. Lions give the Seahawks 3 and a hook. They're at home. Lions at home. I got to go with the Lions.
Yeah.
Seahawks are 3 and 0.
Yeah.
And they came off a big win, 24-3. The Lions snapped back. They beat a good Cardinal team, 20-13. So they had that loss to Tampa Bay. They had that screw.
That's an interesting game.
And I don't know where you draw this.
What was the point spread again?
3 and a hook.
Seattle gets 3 and a hook.
3, yep.
Oh, man. I actually think it's going to be kind of high scoring, but Detroit is at home, right?
Yep. Detroit's home in the Dome.
Yeah, I'll take them. Even though Seattle's shown to be able to beat them before.
Yeah.
In a big game.
In a big game. So there's our NFL picks as we motor through. We'll get maybe Irish Mike to get back. we had him, and then we believe lost him. But we're going to get to we got the college football to get to. A lot of games there. Ohio State plays Michigan State tonight, but that's on Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to buy Peacock, sign up for the Peacock in order to get the Buckeyes tonight. It's all about the fans.
Yep.
We want more money from the fans.
That's what they love.
So that's what basically they love. They love to get the fans on hook. So let's go ahead then. We've got a big game today in the college ranks. Georgia, Alabama. But you know what? As big as that is, when you break it down, they're going to meet again. And what's going to happen with the 12-team playoff is these regular season games aren't going to kind of have that do or die. Because whoever loses this game, and it's a pick 'em game.
Yep.
Half a point, that's a pick. It's a pick 'em game. But you got to figure that Georgia and Alabama are going to make the top 12 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So it's not a do or die game where it was in the past, which I think is overall good because we're going to get better matchups. So,
yeah, that's the first one. I'm go with Alabama.
Yeah, I'm going to take Bama. I like Bama on that one too. Let's go ahead. There's no point. It's half a point.
Half a point. So who gets to half a point?
Actually, Georgia's getting half a point, which almost doesn't exist because you have overtime. Yeah. If there's a tie, you go overtime. So it doesn't a half a point is non-existent. Let's see. Let's go ahead and let's look at Minnesota at Michigan. It's 10 points.
Michigan State.
Michigan is laying 10 points to Minnesota. Michigan beat USC last week. Big surprise. And Minnesota lost to Iowa 31-14, not competitive. So they're at the big house at noon today on Fox, and it's a 10-point spread. So Minnesota's getting 10 points, which I think Michigan really can't throw the ball. They really don't have any passing.
I know. That's the thing that makes it wonder if it'd be a grinded game.
I'm surprised they beat USC, but I think they out-physicaled USC's defense.
Well, they did in the first half.
Right.
If you watch that game, the second half was USC. They just did everything they needed to do. But
they couldn't stop them going down for that final drive.
They missed it. They had them there, and the guy broke those tackles and made that long run. They had shut them down the entire second half until that big run. So I don't know. The first half they got out physical, but I don't know. I don't know if Minnesota got enough.
Minnesota lost to Iowa 31-14.
I know.
Not very competitive, really.
I mean, my thing is what you just said. Michigan doesn't show that they can throw the football without that.
But are they just better team? It's going to be the talent is going to override it. Second half, they're going to wear Minnesota down.
I probably give up the 10 points. This is so much when you can't pass the ball, but
I think so. I think Michigan should win. I don't think Minnesota's that good of a team. They're 2-2, and they got beat last week badly at Iowa. I'll take. Next one is OK State, who lost to Utah, and Kansas State at Kansas State. They both are coming off losses. Kansas State lost to BYU 38-9. That was last night, a Saturday night game. And then Utah was the 3:30 game, and OK State got beat by Utah. So you've got OK State versus K-State, and that's 5 points. So OK State's getting 5 points at Kansas State, and they're both 3-1, and they had their first loss last week.
Okay.
Noon on ESPN.
Yeah, that's a good one too. I'm slightly leaning towards Oklahoma State.
Okay, and get the points.
Yeah. 5 and a hook, you said?
Yeah, they get 5, just 5.
5, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know where to go with this one either. I'll take OK State also. Let's go to BYU at Baylor. And let's see. BYU's getting 3 points at Baylor. Baylor lost last week to Colorado. And Kansas State, BYU beat Kansas State 38-9. So you got Baylor coming off with a loss. BYU's undefeated 4-0. They're getting 3 points at Baylor.
I'm gonna take BYU.
Yeah, I like BYU.
Yep.
Next one is Deion Sanders, Colorado at UCF, and they're getting 14. Colorado's getting 14 points.
Whew.
A lot of points for Deion. Big game, 3:30 on Fox today. I'm sure everybody will be watching that one.
They're looking for them to get blown out then. So
yeah.
One thing I know, they can score. UCF, their coach, that's Gus Malzahn or whatever.
Yeah.
He used to be at Auburn, right?
Malzahn is the...
Yeah, they're pretty decent.
And they're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
Malzahn, coach.
I'm gonna go ahead and
14.
I'm gonna take the 14 points.
Yeah, that's basically a lot of wood.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I don't know. Yeah, I'll take. I'll take UCF. Even though it bothers me, is because Colorado's improving.
Yeah, they are. Even defensively a little bit. I mean, they're playing a lot better.
They're playing better. Let's move on to Louisville at Notre Dame. This is 3:30 today on Peacock. And Louisville gets 7 points at Notre Dame. Notre Dame won Miami of Ohio last week, 28-3. Louisville beat Georgia Tech 31-19. So,
Louisville?
Yeah, Louisville is getting 7 points at South Bend today at 3:30.
Oh man,
so
shaky. I'm gonna take Louisville.
I'll go Notre Dame because I think they have to win. I think.
And who is their quarterback? Louisville. Then they get somebody else now. I'm thinking, oh man, I'm concerned about them. They got a good record though, right?
Louisville's 3-0. So, yeah, they're coming off. They had, like I said, they had a big win last week against the Georgia Tech, 31-19. And obviously Notre Dame, week before, blew out Purdue. Then they handled Miami of Ohio 28-3. So this could be Jeff Brom is the head coach, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Tyler Schroe is the looks like he's a graduate transfer quarterback with Louisville.
Okay.
So I'll go ND. You want Louisville? Let's go to Oklahoma at Auburn. This was almost a pick'em game. Oklahoma's getting a point at Auburn. They lost last week to Tennessee. The night game, 25-15. And Auburn lost last week to Arkansas, 24-14.
I'm going to take Oklahoma.
Yeah, I like Oklahoma too.
Yeah, I'm going to take them in the point.
Let's go to Arkansas at Texas, 3:30 today on, it's A&M. Arkansas is at Texas A&M, 5 and a hook. So Arkansas is getting 5 and a hook on the road at Texas A&M. Texas A&M had a big win last week against Bowling Green 26-20. For what it's worth, Arkansas beat Auburn 24-14.
I'm taking Arkansas. I've seen them twice. I do like the quarterback. They got him from Boise State. If you ever see him, Green. Tall, run, throw. I'm going to take him.
Let's go to the final game, the night game, Arizona at Utah, 10:15 on ESPN. Utah's laying 9.5 to Arizona.
What's Arizona's record?
2-1. They lost to Kansas State last week. No, 9-13, 2 weeks ago. They lost to Kansas State 31-7.
Whoa.
And then 2 weeks ago, Utah beat Oklahoma. No, last week, Utah beat OK State 22-19.
And Arizona won last week.
And then Arizona was out last week, but the week before that, they lost. They were on the bye last week.
Oh, okay, and that's when they lost 31-7.
Yep. They lost 2 weeks ago to K-State, 31-7.
Yeah, they're going to rectify themselves a little bit.
Right.
I'm going to take that. You said it's 9 and
a hook. Arizona's getting 9 and a hook at Utah.
They can throw the football. I know that. I'm just going to, because they can throw the football, I'm going to go with them.
You went to Arizona?
Yeah, 9 and a hook.
I'll take Utah at home and lay the points. Yeah, college football is a hard pick because you just never know what you're going to get there.
Right.
Other news out there, I couldn't help bring this up.
Is it about the NCAA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reggie Bush has sued a lot of people. But he's basically suing the school, the NCAA. He's suing USC, the Pac-12, and the NCAA over using his name, image, and likeness without compensation. Now, what's important here to understand is this could be, if they lose this case, this could be one of those floodgate situations. How far do they go back with NIL? I mean, Reggie Bush played like, I was thinking, and this was discussed, is this could absolutely potentially bankrupt the NCAA.
Oh, yeah. He played back in, 2010?
Yes.
Or 2008.
And here's your problem, is where do you start and stop? Reggie Bush is 39 years old. He played 2008.
Yeah. Okay.
The point is, that's 16 years ago. But where do they start and stop the NIL thing?
Yeah.
How far do you go back with NIL? Because you're talking 16 years. So can somebody that played in the 70s say, where's my NIL number? 80s?
Well, I want them to.
Does Archie Griffin say, hey, where's my NIL? I played back. I was a 2-time Heisman Trophy winner back in 1974-75. Where's my NIL?
Mm-hmm.
That's 50 years ago. So where does the cutoff? Where do you start and stop? And then not to say, we didn't even get into the whole NIL thing with the young quarterback in UNLV who's leaving because of the $100,000 he was promised and then supposedly, allegedly did not get the money. And then I listened to the show, Brady Quinn and LeVar Arrington, Jonas Knox. Evidently, there was no signed contract between that UNLV quarterback, and the name escapes me. I apologize.
This year that happened.
Yeah, this is this year.
And he's leaving?
And he's leaving because he didn't get his $100,000 that he was allegedly promised with an NIL deal. But then now they're saying there was no signed contract. Now they're saying that with the NIL, the people that promise the NIL have run out of money and don't have the money to pay the player the NIL deal. So now we're getting into this whole quagmire of a mess. And I'm just like taking this in, and I hate to keep jumping around, but getting back to Reggie Bush now wanting his NIL money. This is an unmitigated disaster at every level, and I blame the NCAA for never getting their hands around this, never addressing it, never acknowledging it, but wanting the courts to bail them out. Now they want Congress to bail them out. Good luck with that. And now where do you start and stop? Now you've got Reggie Bush wanting NIL money back from, 2008. Again, what do you do? I'm sorry, I'm looking at him. He played at USC from 2003 to 2005.
Okay.
So now we're talking, I was wrong. It's back farther than that. He's looking at NIL money from 2003 to 2005. So that's 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Back. Where do they start it and where do they stop it? And now you have the situation with the quarterback in Nevada, UNLV, who's left the school because of an NIL dispute, and they're going to have to figure that mess out. And now with this NIL, a lot of these agents aren't qualified. Some are, some aren't. Some, they didn't have a signed contract for the NIL money out in UNLV.
Yeah.
How do you not get something signed on this? Again,
Yeah. Now,
I have no idea. I'm just saying.
The player's upset, but you know what? I guess he had age. I don't know what he had.
I don't know what he had
whoever
either.
he hadn't, you should know that you got to get a side documentation. If just because you tell me you're going to give me X amount of dollars doesn't mean you're going to give it.
You need to have a contract drawn up. And I know the NIL is based on the appearance the players make, but how about if the players don't pan out? Then they, some of the people giving them the NIL won't give them the money because they're not making the appearances, or the players just aren't as good as you thought they were.
Well, you have to I think you need to put that in contract.
You've got to get it really.
Yeah, you got to be able to, first of all, live up to your expectations to some degree. And then, you have to make so-and-so amount of appearances, things of that nature. All that should be in the contract. Because if you don't do what's in that contract, then you don't get the money, and it's legally binding, and that'll be fine. But if you don't have anything in writing,
you can
go do all this stuff, and they say, we ain't paying you, and it's nothing really I can see that you could do.
Or sometimes they were talking a little bit about this, that the people that are offering the NIL, either a corporation or whoever's doing the NIL, don't have the money. Right. They either run out of money or haven't budgeted properly, so they don't have the money to pay the player because for whatever reason it's not there, either for fiscal situation. But then the players are like, "Where's my money?" And then the party that's promised the money doesn't have it, and now the player has to go after the
him.
The entity that offered him the money and promised it. You see where all this is going and how much of this has really turned into a disaster for a large extent.
Yeah.
Because there's no set rule as far as no set standard NIL contract out there that they all need to follow.
And they could have had a standard contract if they got out in front and did that.
Had the NCAA had the foresight to look at all this and say, okay, we're going to start putting a program together and a standard contract together for the players. If an NIL contract, and this is what it's going to be. This is the amounts potentially, and then make sure that the agents that are representing the players are qualified.
Right.
And that's the other problem they kind of talked about is a lot of agents don't want to even get involved in this NIL stuff. They want anything to do with it because you're dealing with a 17, 18-year-old kid who maybe the parents want a lot of money. And if the kid gets hurt, the school doesn't want anything to do with them. And then they're like, okay, where's my money? And then you've got to get the contract, and then you have to get the school to pay the player the NIL money, even though the player can't play because he's hurt. And then where do then all of a sudden, if he's hurt, he's not playing. He's really, his name, image, and likeness isn't out there because he's hurt.
Yeah.
And the contract you need to have a contract addressing all that. And it sounds like they don't have that.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
So this sounds like, realistically, when you break it down, an unmitigated disaster on all levels.
Yeah, well, that's the NCAA. They're always doing something.
And they were saying that if Reggie Bush is successful with his lawsuit, and now they were saying if it opens up floodgates,
it's over.
And all the players who've played in the 70s, 80s, and 90s,
it's done. They'd be bankrupt.
They will, they said the NCAA will probably have to look at filing a bankruptcy and being done, because there's no way they're going to be able to pay all these college players. I mean, you're talking tens of thousands of players.
Yeah,
you think of the 70s, all the decades, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
You had back then too.
Yeah, but how about the backup linebacker wants a NIL money? I mean, where do you could have a class action suit with thousands of players,
their names on it,
with names on it, and then how do you figure who's getting paid? It would just be an absolute mess.
Yeah, which it is anyway.
And it is anyway. And then, like I said, I'm giving you the example, the UNLV quarterback, and I should look up the name here. But the bottom line is that's a mess.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like to me,
well,
Matthew, his name is Matthew Slutka.
Yeah.
Or Slutka. SLUKA.
He done left.
He left.
And what if he's going somewhere else?
He deserts UNLV, unfulfilled NIL promise, starting quarterback. That's the thing. He says he's owed $100,000. How the NIL dispute could have been avoided. So again, there's a real bad situation there, but he's not the only one. There's other players out there having disputes, and that's that problem. Then you got the Reggie Bush situation lawsuit that could open up floodgates.
Yeah.
Unbelievably big floodgates, because that's 20 years ago Reggie Bush played, 2003 to 2005. You've got that whole mess.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, long time ago we talked about it.
Yes,
hey,
we
let's
did.
Get something in. We didn't know what, but we didn't say NIL. We just said you need to pay these players in some shape, way, or form. They didn't do it. Didn't even look at it. So here we go.
That's it. That's the show. Saturday morning sports page. Stay safe. Do not drink. Do not drive. Buckle up. Western Reserve Radio. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
You're watching VSiN's College Football Tailgate Show right here on VSiN, the sports betting network where you get your winners.
Who's looking to get down $10,000 or more on an NFL or maybe a college football line? They got the best price in the market, or perhaps you're looking to get your in-game play instantly accepted. Introducing Sport Trade, the app that's going to change sports betting. Minus 104 lines instead of typical minus 110. Instant in-game betting and a concierge player service. Sport Trade is the perfect for those who want a premium betting experience. It's live in New Jersey, Colorado, Iowa, also coming later this fall, Arizona and Virginia. Download Sport Trade. Use the code VSIN. That's VSIN. You'll earn 10% cash back on each wager in your first week. Terms do apply. You must be 21 years of age or older to wager. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Hour 2 of the VSiN College Football Tailgate Show. I am your host, Tim Murray, here in Las Vegas. You can tweet me at @1Tim Murray. We'll get to a couple tweets filing in. Some curiosity about the Liberty Appalachian State game that was canceled, unfortunately, due to the Hurricane Helene situation down there in Boone, North Carolina. All right, coming up this hour, 15 minutes from now, Yogi Roth, now a Big Ten Network analyst, Mr. Pac-12, but he's now part of the Big Ten Network, and he will give us his expectations of a top 20 showdown in Happy Valley. Hashtag whiteout energy, from what I understand. We go behind the counter, as we always do, each and every Saturday. Get the latest on who the house will need. Chuck Esposito from the Stations Casino Group here in Las Vegas. And then we go, hurry up, a little no-huddle offense, picks for all of the noon games. We will run through all of that. Before we get to letdown spots and Murray's Deli, don't worry, I won't choke on a sandwich like I did 2 weeks ago. A couple line moves to note here. Let's run through them real quickly as we like to keep you updated, a little moving and shaking to start the show, and we do it to start hour 2. Money continues to come in on the Dukes of James Madison. They might be lynching here in letdown spots, but they are now a 22.5-point favorite. So this has opened 18.5, 4-point move ultimately to where we sit right now, James Madison and Ball State. James Madison was 500-1 last week at the South Point to have the most points scored in an FBS versus FBS game. They accomplished that feat, beating North Carolina 70-50. Speaking of those Tar Heels, we are continuing to see movement on this game. Duke and North Carolina. I saw one shop in town go to North Carolina -1.5. That shop, the Westgate Superbook, back down to pick, and Duke is now a 1.5-point favorite at Circa. So some movement there on this UNC Duke game. I took UNC earlier this week at 3. I think they win this game outright, but I did take the 3. I think this should be a fun one in a bounce-back spot. Not to my delight is to see that movement's coming in on Kirk Cignetti. This is like a James Madison theme. James Madison game, the team they beat, and their former coach, Indiana, Kirk Cignetti. He wins. Google him. They are now a 7.5-point favorite, are the Hoosiers. I took 7 with Maryland, so I got the bad number here. I just think this is a little too much of love on Indiana, but they have looked phenomenal so far. 4-0 start for the Indiana Hoosiers, 3-1 ATS. They take on Billy Edwards and the Maryland Terps. Total for that game sitting at 50 right now, down from the opener of 55.5. A little bit of movement on Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes. Curious to hear the splits of this game. My gut would tell me, when we check in with Chuck Esposito coming up bottom of the hour, that the public is taking the candy with Colorado. I think this is a tricky spot for them going to Orlando off of that emotional win, but money's coming in on Colorado. That number down to 13.5. It did open 11 earlier this week. A couple other games to note here before we get to some letdown spots. Ole Miss is taking on Kentucky today. As I mentioned, cornerback Maxwell Hairston out for Kentucky, and we're starting to see more Mississippi money come into the market as that game sits at 15. I want to go back one real quickly. How about Boston College and Western Kentucky? Unusual situation on multiple fronts for this game, as Boston College will be without their starting quarterback in Thomas Castellanos, but Western Kentucky reportedly didn't get into Boston until around 10 o'clock last night for this noon Eastern kickoff, but that is not stopping the bettors betting on the Hilltoppers here. This number down to 7.5. Hilltoppers had a nice win last week. Navy up to a 4-point favorite against UAB, and Tulane now down to just a 4-point favorite against South Florida, as money coming in on the Bulls. And I know producer Dustin is riding with the South Florida Bulls here. He likes some Byram Brown, and see if they can be feisty at Ullman Stadium coming up at noon Eastern. All right, let's hit some letdown spots, and we'll run through these. As I note, these aren't tried and true. Don't blindly take any of these, but I do believe wholeheartedly in letdown spots in college football. So let's run through a couple of these. Lines have moved a little bit since we made this graphic and talked about it on VSiN Primetime. Michigan coming off the big win over USC, taking on the Gophers of Minnesota here. And Michigan right now with Alex Orji at QB, around a 10.5, 11-point favorite. How about the total? 34.5. Do the Wolverines let down after their comeback win over USC? Anything over 10? Kind of like the Gophers here, even though the Gophers certainly do struggle from a offensive standpoint. This is where Mike Sanford and I disagree. I love Baylor here in this spot. I think this is the game where they rally behind their coach in Dave Aranda. And if you look at Parker Fleming, our good friend at Statso War, he always puts out a tweet each and every week of how bad did my team lose? And his had an interesting nugget on the week 4 performance for BYU against Kansas State. The number 1 team with the worst net success in their victory, BYU against Kansas State, despite the 29-point win. I like Baylor at 3, or if you want to go on the money line. Colorado, are they in a letdown spot? Winning the way that they did last week, Hail Mary at the end of regulation, Travis Hunter forcing the fumble to get the victory, storming the field. Market now coming back in on the Buffs, as this game is now under that key of 14. Not an official play, but kind of like the Golden Knights here, laying the 13.5. Now, I don't know if this is a letdown spot because Florida State is still Florida State. And SMU, this is their ACC opener. But I'll say this, SMU put it on TCU, their rival, the Iron Skillet game. And we saw Rhett Lashley go to social media and post a little picture of an Iron Skillet cooking his eggs on Sunday. Is this a spot where maybe there's just too much love for SMU over the summer? And I know there's been a big market adjustment on Florida State. Over the summer, Florida State was a 7-point favorite in here, but Florida State, much different than we anticipated this year. So a 6-point favorite are the SMU Ponies against Florida State, a night game there at Ford Stadium in Dallas, Texas. A couple more to hit on, and we'll skip over Navy because that's got a special spot this week. We will go to Buffalo at UConn. This was Brad Powers, one of his plays of the week on VSiN Primetime. He likes UConn against Buffalo at the old Rent there in Hartford, laying 6 against Buffalo. Buffalo pulling off the upset of Northern Illinois last week. Northern Illinois, let's be honest, lost that game as opposed to Buffalo winning that game. Now you got to go on the road. Not that it's a daunting environment. UConn doesn't stink. I'll say that. I wrote up UConn for the VSiN College Football Betting Guide earlier this summer. I suggested you play over their win total. They're at home. They don't go on the road until like November. It's a weird long home stretch here for Jim Morris' squad, but I like UConn here laying the number. And then lastly, we mentioned James Madison continues to get bet in the market out to a 22.5-point favorite. Coming off a 70 burger on North Carolina, and you got to play chirp, Ball State here. I don't really want to get involved with this one, but the market is certainly believing that James Madison is continue to roll here. I skipped over one game because that's where we head to the Murray Delicatessen. Now, week 1 of the program, we did a live sandwich eating, and it doesn't work out all that well. But I went to the gym, I did some curls, and then opened up my own delicatessen. And man, look at those guns. Man, I look good, don't I? The sandwich spot of the week, Navy at UAB, a sandwich spot. What does this mean? Well, how do you make a sandwich? 1 piece of bread, meat, another piece of bread. Well, those 2 pieces of bread, a win over Memphis, the preseason favorite to win the AAC, and then Air Force next week, the 2 biggest games of Navy's schedule, no matter what, Army 1, Air Force 2, to win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. They have not accomplished that feat since 2019. And now you go on the road to the Fighting Trent Dilfers. It's a weird spot here for Navy. Now, the market disagrees. Market's betting this like crazy. I don't know if I can trust Trent Dilfer in this spot, but I'm just saying from a situational angle, this is a really tricky spot for the midshipmen. It is I believe, 11 a.m. local kick time down there in Birmingham, Alabama. So your sandwich spot of the week in Murray's Delicatessen. Man, yeah, you look like that more often. It is Navy plus the 4. All right, the biggest games of the day, though, we've been breaking it down. Georgia, Alabama. Illinois, Penn State, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and Louisville and Notre Dame. Georgia, Alabama right now. Alabama catching a point at home. We just heard Mike Sanford say he believes that Kirby Smart and Georgia do emerge at the end of the day. Speaking of Kirby Smart, he talked about that quarterback he's going to face today in Jalen Milroe, and he is impressed.
Yeah, it's considerable jump as a just natural pocket passer. You see him make more throws now that are like rhythm throws, on-time throws, RPO throws. You can tell he's become more comfortable with those things. Still, some of his best and most exciting plays are when things break down or when he runs the ball by design. Either one is very dangerous. But you can see him as a deep ball passer, the vertical passing game, the shots, the rhythm throws, the outs, the timing throws, the RPO throws. He's improved immensely at that part of his game, but he's always been good at the athletic part of the game.
Now, you got to remember, sacks do count against your rushing yards. Jalen Milroe at DraftKings Sportsbook right now, 50-plus rushing yards, even money. I do think Jalen Milroe utilizes his legs quite a bit. Alabama, 1-point underdog. I don't know if you've heard this. First time they've been an underdog since 2007. Penn State, they are laying what against Illinois? 18? Isn't Illinois a top 20 team? We will break down what to expect in Happy Valley tonight. Whiteout game. What does Yogi Roth thinks? He joins us next right here on the VSiN College Football Tailgate Show.
Time. Are you the type of player who's looking to get down $10,000 or more on an NFL line at the best price of the market? Or perhaps you're looking to get your in-play instantly accepted? Introducing Sport Trade, the app that's going to change sports betting. Minus 106 lines, instant in-play betting, and concierge player service. Download Sport Trade and use the promo code VSI and earn 10% cash back on each wager in your first week. Terms apply. Must be 21. Gambling problem? 1-800-GAMBLER.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you are ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-858-6811. 800-858-6811. 800-858-6811. That's 800-858-6811.
The VSiN Morning Line.
The Cowboys' run defense is atrocious. Let's make no mistake about it. They cannot stop any inside runs. They get pushed around.
This is Matt Lipsack, the voice of the Youngstown Phantoms, and your home for Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app. You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
A Friday Football Invitational at 9 p.m. Eastern with picks from some of the sharpest bettors around the country. Then on Saturdays at 9, watch the Football Contest Show, where our expert hosts and guests go through the consensus choices for some of the biggest betting contests in the world. The fun doesn't stop there. Visit VSiN.com for the full lineup and join us on the Sports Betting Network. You're
watching VSiN's College Football Tailgate Show right here on VSiN, the sports betting network where you get your winners.
We keep it rolling here on this Saturday morning. I'm Tim Murray in Las Vegas. Is the VSiN College Football Tailgate Show. Coming up in 15 minutes, Chuck Esposito. We get the latest from behind the counter. Who will the books need today? I'm not as sure as I was last week. Last week, I knew exactly who the books would need. Today, I'm kind of curious, so we'll find that out here in less than 15 minutes. But Big Ten action is here, ladies and gentlemen. Last night, we saw Rutgers escape with a victory over Washington, 21-18. 7 Big Ten games today, and no one better to break them down than Big Ten network analyst. You'll be in studio all day today. Yogi Roth joins us right now on our progressive guest line. And the only matchup, Yogi, between top 20 teams in the conference today is Illinois at Penn State. It's going to be a whiteout. It is a big spread. And I know a lot of people look at the AP poll and they say, wow, the 19th ranked team in the country is an 18-point underdog. And that's what we're seeing there in Happy Valley. What has impressed you about Illinois? And do you think Coach Bielema's squad is feisty tonight at Beaver Stadium?
Yeah, I think they're extremely feisty. Why? Because they play a filthy style of defense and they run the daylights out of the football. Like if you go and watch that game back last weekend with Caden Fagan, it was like they just kept leaning on Nebraska. In the fourth quarter, he found a way to just continue to find ways to move the sticks. And then I think Luke Altmaier has been one of the most impressive stories of the year. You know, you look at that team a year ago where they struggled turning the ball over, how he's been spinning it, at least in big moments like last weekend on the road in Nebraska. And I think that road win that they had in overtime is going to bode well for them. I don't think that top to bottom, their roster is more talented than Penn State. I don't think they have the competitive depth of Penn State, but they do have the style of play that I think can match them. So I don't know. I think I'd probably pick Penn State if I was going, just based on being a home game, what that stage is. It's so hard to get huge wins like that week after week in the emotional stage of college football. But I think we're in for a heck of a game tonight. And as you referenced, the stage and the whiteout couldn't make the pageantry of college football look even better.
Illinois 4-0 for the first time since 2011. You mentioned Luke Altmaier. He has been phenomenal so far this year. 71% completion percentage, 862 yards, 10 touchdowns, no picks. And he's looking to avenge a terrible game last year against Penn State. Yogi, real quickly on Penn State, because we got a lot of other games to hit on. Andy Koltnicki was believed to be, by many, including me, the biggest offseason acquisition, maybe from a coaching standpoint. D'Anton Lynn, obviously on the defensive side of USC, but he has done a really masterful job so far. What has stood out to you about this Penn State offense with a new man calling the plays?
Well, I think a few things. You know, I was there in training camp and have known Drew Aller for a long time. I think often when we see big recruits go to college, we think that they're all going to be Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa as true freshmen. Those guys all obviously shined in different areas their freshman season. And the reality is that your first year playing in college football is just a challenge. Right? The adversity that you're going to hit, it will naturally be there. Are you prepared to go through it? How do you navigate that? And what I learned about Drew being there in August and watching him through the first month of the season is that the scars that he went through a year ago, right? We all know the two tough games that they had against Ohio State and Michigan respectively, is that it hardened him a little bit. And I think that's a good thing. I think there's an edge to him that every quarterback has after they go through that first year, whether it be the NFL, whether it be freshman or first year starting in major college football at a big time place. It's just hard to navigate, and there's really no blueprint on how to do it. You just got to go through that fire. He did, right? Position coach, coordinator, doesn't come on back for his second season as a starter. In comes, to your point, Andy Koltnicki. And what I love about him is that his background spans from high school to now, of course, at Penn State. And he's constantly putting his quarterback in confident positions. By that, I mean a confident read on an RPO, a confident check at the line of scrimmage. And that's what I'm watching when I see Drew Aller play, is that he's doing things with tremendous command. Partly, of course, his coach and the style of play, and partly also his maturation, because his tools are natural. He can flick it with absolute ease. I expect him to just have to continue to grow all season long and be in the top third of quarterbacks in the Big Ten, which is where I think he sits today.
Yogi Roth joining us here, courtesy of our progressive guest line on the VSiN College Football Tailgate Show. You can catch him all day long in studio on the Big Ten Network. We're going to get to the game on BTN here in just a moment, Maryland at Indiana. But I want to go to the other game starting at noon Eastern, Yogi, and that's Michigan coming off of their impressive victory, come from behind against USC. Mullings has been absolutely awesome so far this year for the Wolverines. Good news on the injury front. Colston Loveland not even on the injury report, so he's good to go for Michigan. They're north of a 10-point favorite here against Minnesota. When you look at this Michigan team, the defense is as good as advertised, I would say. Can we expect more from Alex Orji at that quarterback position to test this Minnesota defense from a vertical standpoint?
I think you have to. I mean, he's not going to get through the season with one completion, across the line of scrimmage. I think last week was the stat that I was reading. And, I think for Minnesota, they're going to be a tough out for everybody. You look at the Carolina game or the Iowa game, there's moments in both of those, or you could argue halves in both of those games, where they look exactly what you'd expect. They want to run the football. They want to control it. Max Brosmer at quarterback gives them something they didn't have a year ago in the passing game. Defensively, they're always going to be stout. I think in this game, Michigan clearly is the more talented roster. Defensively, you reference how gifted they are. That's proven to be true. A week ago, we saw that against SC. You saw it at times against Texas. The challenge for them is that can they win with the style in which they played last week? I think they can. I think they can run the ball. I think last year they ran it 45 times or more in 3 games. I expect a similar version of that this year. You do what you got to do to win the games. And I think that'll put them in position to compete for the Big Ten. But if you spin it ahead and you look at the other game going on today in Alabama and Georgia, play against those two teams, or you play against Texas, you play against teams that you might want to project to the playoff, or you want to make noise in the playoff, you got to throw the ball. And I believe that Alex Orji can. I saw it in training camp. I've talked to his OC, Kirk Campbell, about it. I think the guy can throw it. I think he can spin. I think games just dictate so much. The thing I don't know about Michigan is what I'd love to see today, Minnesota fans would probably agree, is if they're down 2 scores. Then what do they do? When you have to throw it to win it, that's what I want to see. That to me is the thing that is the big question mark. Can they throw in their offense? Yes. Will they utilize play action pass? Yes. Will they use the QB run game? Of course. Will they run the football? Obviously. But can they throw it to win it when down? That's the thing that I think is the question mark versus can they throw it at all? I think they can. This guy can play the position. And I'm looking forward to watching it today.
Yogi Roth once again joining us. You can catch him on the Big Ten Network all day today, and he'll be having some cut-ins with Indiana and Maryland, a game that will be on BTN coming up at noon Eastern. I'm fascinated by this game because Indiana, as we all know, has gotten off to a phenomenal start. Kirk Cignetti coming in there, clearly changing things for this Hoosiers program. And now it's a new role, right? You're not an underdog. You're a decent favorite against a Maryland team that is off to a 3-1 start, has to be kicking themselves about losing that game to Michigan State, being up a touchdown in the 4th quarter. I kind of think that this is a closer game than some are giving the Terps a good shake, Yogi. What's your expectation of Indiana, Maryland? Because I think this is a fascinating game today in the Big Ten.
I agree. I mean, I think finally we're at all conference games, right? And we can see the competitiveness every week in this league because I think it is pretty deep. And these two teams, they got a question mark around them of, are they real contenders? I think that they're real competitors. I think that they are, of course, in the top half. Like you could argue like they're going to go to a bowl game, in my opinion. But can they take that next step? Like where are they in the conversation when it comes to Iowa and USC? If you want to say like just a tick below the Ohio State and Oregon, if you want to put them at the top of this league. And I was at Indiana last week. I called their game. I've been watching Maryland. And you look at what Billy Edwards can do. I think it's 28-32 last year. Ty Felton just continues to go off at receiver. The thing with Indiana that I love is that when Kurt Cignetti came through, not only did he bring, a variety of players from James Madison, but of the transfers, I think of the 19 college transfers, they have 14 of them were all conference players. So first, second, or honorable mention. So they just brought over a bunch of winners. And I think it's just elevated that culture. And then you watch them play. Really, both of these teams, they play so hard. So this should come down to execution. Both quarterbacks are, I think, revitalized. If you look at, where they were and where they are. I think Curtis Rourke playing, to me, in the top third of the Big Ten. He's proven that with his command within this system under Mike Shanahan, former Pitt wide receiver. Shout out to the Pitt Panthers. So I can't wait to watch it, man. I'm with you. I think this one is got a chance to be a great game. Like if you just wanted to watch the football game and see some back and forth action, I anticipate that in this one, and I think it should come down to the final few drives.
Yogi, great stuff, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime, man. Have a great Saturday.
There he is, Yogi Roth. You can catch him on the Big Ten Network. He's now BTN analyst after many years working with the Pac-12 Network and, of course, being on Pete Carroll's staff there out at USC. Interesting to note about Maryland, Indiana, as we talk about line moves now out to 7.5 pretty much across the board. Last year, now it is a completely different program in Bloomington, but last year, Maryland hosted Indiana. They were a 14.5-point favorite. They won 44-17, and now they're catching 7.5 against Indiana. That game coming up at noon. We'll hit on that as we go no huddle a little bit later on in the hour. But up next, who will the books need? Where are the most lopsided ticket counts? We'll find out those answers as we go behind the counter right here on the VSiN College Football Tailgate Show.
Total Wireless is made to totally keep up with you. We now have unlimited data that never slows you down, covered by the Verizon 5G network, and all for less than $30 a month when you get 4 lines. And the best part? We give you a free Samsung Galaxy A54 5G when you switch to the Total 5G Plus Unlimited plan. Visit your local Total Wireless store today. Total Wireless, we're totally...
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart and don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. For help keeping yours at a healthy range, text PRESSURE to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to sell all your belongings and live in a commune.
These dungarees belong to all of us now, Tom.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need feedthepig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
This is Matt Lipsack, the voice of the Youngstown Phantoms, and your home for Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio.
Elevate
Elevate your sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup, then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to vsin.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
You're watching VSiN's College Football Tailgate Show right here on VSiN, the sports betting network, where you get your winners.
Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, the NHL season is almost here, and our hockey betting experts are ready for all the action. Our all-new VSiN NHL betting guide is out now with strategies for betting the NHL, including previews of all 32 teams, Stanley Cup odds and predictions, and, of course, best bets. So start your VSiN Pro subscription today for as little as $9.99 to reserve your copy of the guide. Plus, you get instant access to our daily best bets, which includes all the picks from the Circa Friday Football Invitational. You would have already received that email if you're a VSiN Pro subscriber. Top-rated betting systems, 24/7 video access, and those betting splits that everyone loves to check out that are updated every 5 minutes. So don't miss out on our must-have NHL betting guide, packed with key insights and data for those avid hockey bettors and also those new to the sport. VSiN.com/subscribe. It is the VSiN College Football Tailgate Show. I am your host, Tim Murray. You can always tweet me at @1Tim Murray. Coming up in 15 minutes, we go no huddle. We run through all of the noon games, a couple odds and notes here on those games, line moves, everything you need to know. But mark it down in your calendar, ladies and gentlemen, 11:30 Eastern time every Saturday. We go behind the counter and we find out who the books will need. Chuck Esposito from the Red Rock Casino here in Las Vegas, part of the Stations Casino Group, joins us as always on our progressive guest line. Chuck, I was talking to you off air. Last week, I knew that you absolutely would be cheering for Oklahoma. That did not come home. I don't know who the obvious side is, because my guess would be, and we'll get to Georgia-Bama, that's probably going to be pretty good two-way action. So my guess is that you guys are big Kentucky fans. That's my guess. That Ole Miss is the most lopsided ticket count so far.
It's probably in the top 10, Tim. It's not a bad guess. But the biggest one that I can see are the two that really kind of jump off the page to me. One is we are going to be huge Boilermaker fans today. Ticket count is extremely one-sided in favor of Nebraska. There's a couple of other games, too, that kind of fall into that spot. Texas, even though it's a huge number against Mississippi State, huge Mississippi State fans, and one that's maybe a little surprising that's in our own backyard, really lopsided ticket count on Fresno against UNLV, even with Sluka not being there and the quarterback change. Those are the three, but the game that you mentioned, it's in the top 5 or 10, I would think, but not quite as much as we're seeing on the Nebraska-Purdue game.
I'm disappointed in myself. That's a good one. Boilermakers right now catching 10 against Purdue. And yes, people are believing that the Boilermakers, who the last time we saw them at home, I think Notre Dame just scored another touchdown on them as they lost that game 66-7. Chuck Esposito joining us from the Stations Casino Group here in town in Las Vegas. So I want to circle back to that because we actually haven't talked about the game a ton here today. And, you know, the belief coming out of the UNLV side is that there isn't a big drop-off from Matthew Sluka to Haj Malik Williams, and we're seeing the market come back. So you mentioned that it's a lopsided ticket count. So the locals are buying in on the UNLV hype here. They're laying the number in this spot against Fresno State?
Yeah, they absolutely are. I wasn't sure myself. We opened the game 3.5 before Sluka left the program. It was bet up to 4. I thought there was some value with Fresno anyway at that price. And I know you and I talked about that on Thursday night. A couple of things. Fresno 5-0 straight up their last 5 games when playing Vegas. Vegas has a great point spread record going, which we've also touched on in the past 12-4 against the number in their last 16. But after the news of Sluka leaving the program, we opened it back up pick, but the bettors quickly drove this game back up to 2.5, where we sit right now, an extremely one-sided ticket count in favor of UNLV.
All right. Chuck Esposito once again joining us here. So right now, as I pull out my stations app, you guys have Georgia as a 1.5-point favorite, -20 on the money line, 49.5, which is market wide there for a total. My guess would be, Chuck, that this being a night game, great handle, but pretty two-way action, I would imagine. Do you guys think you'll ultimately need a side here for this showdown at Bryant-Denny Stadium tonight?
And when you look at the game, straight, parlay, money line, I mean, it is almost identical across the board. I mean, it looks like we're a little bit higher on Alabama right now. So I'm guessing right now I'd say we would need Georgia, but a very small decision. It's still not until 4:30 our time tonight, so a lot can change. But the game has fluctuated a little bit. It's jumped around a little bit from as high as 2 to, I know, as an industry, down to pick, and back up to Georgia 1.5, or 2. We sit at 1.5 right now, but not a huge decision on the game. Great ticket count, great handle, but really two-way, Tim.
Chuck, there's a couple games that I think that the public might actually back a dog. And it's pretty rare. We don't often see the public siding with an underdog, but there are a couple instances, and I've been told, and I imagine you echo the sentiments, you as an odds maker, you make ratings, you don't make rankings. And sometimes the AP poll is something that pushes the bettor maybe in the wrong direction. So let's go Notre Dame, Louisville. Louisville is the higher ranked team, but they're a full touchdown underdog. My gut would tell me, even though Notre Dame normally a very public team, my gut would tell me that the public might be tempted by the candy here.
We haven't seen it yet. I mean, we sit at a touchdown right now, but ticket counts are about 60% in favor of Notre Dame. Straight, parlay, money line, all favor the Irish in this game. Not until 12:30 our time this afternoon. But it's not one of the top games on the board. But right now we're seeing more Irish money than Cardinal money.
What about Illinois, Penn State? Right now you guys have Illinois catching 18 at Penn State. Illinois last Friday night went on the road and got a big win as an underdog. They're an underdog yet again. Penn State has always kind of thrived in this role under James Franklin as a mid favorite, not a massive favorite, but a pretty sizable one. What are you guys seeing for Illinois, Penn State? A late night game, so a lot of action certainly will file into this one.
Yeah, this one falls into exactly what you just said earlier. We're clearly right now Penn State fans. When you look at the ticket count, it favors Illinois at about 64%. Straight, parlay, same thing, all in favor of Illinois at a pretty good chunk. So we're right now, without anything else kind of rolling into these games from the early game and action on this game at 4:30, we're actually Penn State fans in this game. So this is one of those cases where everything kind of favors the public betting Illinois, both money and ticket counts.
How about this nugget from Chris Felica, the Bear, who we'll get to his picks from the Circa Friday Football Invitational a little bit later on the program. Since 2000, Penn State is 17-0-1 ATS in games they are favored by 7 to 24 points. So in that sweet spot there, 7 to 24, they have thrived, and that is where they sit right now. So interesting to note that the house will be cheering for the Nittany Lions. Don't
forget, I mean, the last time they saw Illinois play, they were able to win at Nebraska. They've had a little bit more time off. So I think that factors in a bit as well.
All right, so another game where I think the public might like the dog. The last time we saw him, Shedeur Sanders, Coach Prime, Travis Hunter, they get a miracle victory against Baylor. And, this has been such a unique team from a betting standpoint because the public knows Deion Sanders, knows his son, knows Travis Hunter. What do we know about UCF? They're coming off a bye. They're down to the bounce house. And right now, 13.5, 14 for this game. Is this another game that's attracting dog money from the public?
It is. I mean, I think the spread tells you enough how good that Central Florida is. But yeah, both straight, parlays, money line, everything favors the Buffaloes here. So you're exactly right. The public is riding the dog in this game as well. It's not a huge disparity in ticket count. I think it's only about 53% in favor of Colorado. But overall, you're seeing, again, money, ticket count favor the Buffaloes.
Chuck Esposito, race and sportsbook director at the Red Rock Casino here in Las Vegas, giving us the latest from behind the counter. All right, a game that I am on, Chuck, and it actually has something to do with Colorado. It's the team that they beat last week. Baylor is a home favorite against freshly ranked BYU. The last time we saw BYU, what do? They beat Kansas State by 4 touchdowns, and yet they are an underdog in this role. So yet again, are we seeing another possible public dog here in BYU at Baylor?
I'm going to say sort of. And what I mean by that is that ticket counts, Tim, and this one clearly favor BYU at about 64%. But when you look at overall money on the game, it favors Baylor. It's fairly two-way, but still we see more money actually on Baylor than BYU, but a higher ticket count on the Cougars here. So it's one of those games that we've kind of talked about over the past few weeks where sometimes the ticket count favors one team, but the actual money favors the other team. And we'll see how it all shakes out. But we sit at 3 right now. But clearly it looks like we're going to be Cougar fans when this game kicks off.
Hey, Chuck, before we let you roam, we got 30 seconds, and maybe it is BYU Baylor. We hear all the time the pros versus Joes game. Is there a pros versus Joes game that you're seeing?
I would say that's probably one of them. And, the one that's really kind of jumping off the page to me is that Iowa State, too, against Houston, extremely one-sided in favor of Iowa State in this game. We know Houston's had some struggles, but number has crept up a bit, but really one-sided in favor of Iowa State.
Huge Boilermaker fans. Once again, the last time they played in West Lafayette, Chuck, they only lost by 59, so I'm sure that makes you feel better. Thanks, Chuck.
We will see how it all shakes out, buddy.
There he is, Chuck Esposito, the latest from behind the counter. He joins us each and every week. All right, no huddle time. We got to run through all the noon games. They're starting in 20 minutes.
In the heart.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
The Storks are bringing me a baby brother! We can do this together!
All right, let's go!
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What? Oh my gosh, you don't know!
I know!
You don't! Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No! Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this!
You will rock this! To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's important to plan ahead for
emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
How to find each other.
The whole experience was fine.
The most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Everett Fitzhugh, the radio voice of the NHL Seattle Kraken, and you're listening to the home of the Youngstown Phantoms, Western Reserve Radio.
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Ends Labor Day. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
You're watching VSiN's College Football Tailgate Show right here on VSiN, the sports betting network, where you get your winners.
We keep it rolling here, getting you ready for all of the games today and a bunch of games about to get underway. I'm your host, Tim Murray, at the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas, 15 minutes away from kickoff, noon Eastern games, and some juicy ones out there. We're going to go hurry up here in just a moment, but just to circle back to what we just heard from Chuck Esposito at the Stations Casino here in Las Vegas. Biggest need today, at least early on, the house is going to need Purdue. And that is a hold on to your butt special, certainly, as Purdue is catching 10 against Nebraska. Nebraska coming off a loss, but heavy need for the Boilermakers and the public very excited to bet Illinois. Makes you think, huh? As Chris Felica would say, is that a dog with fleas situation? I'm speaking of that. I believe that was one of his selections. Penn State laying the points there, and not necessarily a pros versus Joes, but it felt like BYU and Baylor was a game that certainly was one that was of interest there from pros versus a Joe's standpoint. 64% of the bets on BYU, but more money coming in on Baylor. That is one of my best bets, Baylor minus the 3. We'll get to my best bets and my card coming up in a moment, but let's get to it. Let's run a little hurry-up offense here as we get you ready for all of the games slated to start at noon Eastern, and we'll start in the SEC. Ole Miss taking on Kentucky. Mentioned the injury news earlier today. Kentucky will be without one of their top corners. Maxwell Hairston is out, so that is a big loss when you're going up against an Ole Miss team who is 4-0 ATS and has been pulverizing everybody. But is this that spot where you finally see Ole Miss play a team with a pulse? Maybe. Kentucky did look okay 2 weeks ago, almost beating that Georgia Bulldog squad. Did not look so good 3 weeks ago, getting destroyed by South Carolina. Minnesota at Michigan, and this has seen some money come in on the Wolverines here. This game starting at the Big House at the top of the hour. Total sits at a microscopic 34.5 and a spread of 10.5. I kind of like the Gophers here in this spot. I am worried they can't score against Minnesota, but as Minnesota can't score against Michigan. I don't know if they can score against themselves, but can Michigan in this spot put up enough points? Can we trust them, especially coming off of maybe a little bit of a letdown spot? Alex Orji, start number 2 for him. How much will we get from Mullings, who was an absolute monster last week against USC? And, to be honest, still not necessarily over that under not coming home. It was a dead under game. We had a pick 6. We had that weird interception, turnover play. But right now, Michigan, total of 34.5, laying 10.5 here against the Gophers. Top 25 matchup, I should say. Oklahoma State at Kansas State. And producer Dustin just came in and let me know that we've seen a lot of movement on the total here, all the way up to 58 between Oklahoma State and Kansas State. The Pokes will go back to seventh-year senior Alan Bowman as their starter. Does Avery Johnson have a bounce back? If you're wondering, this was one of the more consensus picks in the Circa Friday Football Invitational. 4 of the 25 participants did take Kansas State minus the 5.5, as well as Matt Humans is on this play as well. We've seen the market move in favor of Kansas State here. They are now a 6-point favorite, but a big move in the total. We'll see if Kansas State bounces back. Oklahoma State, of course, looking not so great last week. BYU versus Baylor. This is a best bet for me. I like the Baylor Bears here in this spot. Me and my guy, Mike Sanford, going head-to-head. He likes BYU, the way that they're rolling. Clear letdown spot for Kalani Sitake's squad if they win 38-9 in impressive fashion. But they got a punt return for a score, a scoop and score for a score. Crowd was unbelievable in Provo last Saturday night. And now you got to go on the road, 11 a.m. local kick time in Waco, Texas. Got to be hot, sticky. Does Baylor rally behind their coach and Dave Aranda? I think they do. And Baylor's head coach, Dave Aranda, one of many coaches on the hot seat. His seat maybe not as hot as Billy Napier, but it's getting hot down there in Waco. I think they get the win. I think they cover the 3 here. This game coming up. Maryland at Indiana. I don't like this line move. I took some turtle power at 7. It's now 7.5. Indiana has been absolutely tremendous. They're 1-0 in the Big Ten. Outscored UCLA 42-13, much to my delight, as I have a UCLA under ticket and an Indiana over ticket. But to me, I think this is getting a little too far out. Indiana laying 7.5. How about our betting splits over at vsin.com? 71% of the tickets on the Hoosiers. They're believing in the Fighting Wes Reynolds there. Indiana laying 7.5. I'll take the 7.5 with the Terps. We just heard from Chuck Esposito. This game coming up in West Lafayette, Nebraska at Purdue. As Scott Van Pelt likes to say, hammer that big-ass drum as they roll it in there. Purdue taking on the Corn of Nebraska. Nebraska coming off a loss last week on a Friday night against Illinois. Purdue, since that 66-7 loss to Notre Dame 2 weeks ago, they went out to Corvallis and did not fare all that well, despite the market betting it like they knew the outcome last Saturday. That game got bet all the way down to like 2.5 in favor of Oregon State from 5.5, and Oregon State won the game rather comfortably. Hard for me to trust Purdue here, but the books will be needing the Purdue Boilermakers. How about Buffalo at UConn? Brad Powers earlier this week on VSiN Primetime, one of his 2 favorite plays of the week. It was laying it with Jim Mora's squad, the UConn Huskies here. I'm with Brad. I laid it with UConn at the Rent. I mean, you don't walk into the Rent and just come out with a victory willy-nilly, do you? 6-point spread, total of 44. Buffalo, what'd they do last week? They beat Northern Illinois. What a win for them as they got a nice win. Coach Lembo's squad there, year 1 for the Buffalo Bulls. I think this is a letdown spot. I think UConn is the better team, and I laid the 6 here with the UConn Huskies. How about the line move in this one? Western Kentucky at Boston College. Boston College will be without their starting quarterback, Thomas Castellanos, moving forward here for this game. So we've seen this move as high as 13, now down to 7.5, 8 for Boston College. Also seen a total move here in this game. Western Kentucky, who had some travel issues, didn't get into the Boston area until late last night for this noon Eastern kickoff. Total down to 48, was as high as 55.5, down to 48, spread down to 7.5. So a move about 5.5 points with the news that Thomas Castellanos will not be playing in this game. The starter will be Grayson James, the FIU transfer. Will get the nod for Bill O'Brien's squad. Northern Illinois at NC State. NIU last week. Well, guess what? Life comes at you fast. You beat Notre Dame. Your coach does every interview possible, and then you lose to Buffalo. And that's exactly what Northern Illinois did. I thought it was a letdown spot even after 2 weeks removed from a win over Notre Dame. And it was, as they lost the game, missed some field goals. It was ugly. Do they bounce back here against NC State? NC State has been one of the bigger disappointments so far on the college football season. Got absolutely hammered a couple weeks ago by Tennessee, and then last week gave up an old 59 spot against Clemson. So they've faced some stiff competition. We'll see. No bet for me on this one, but Northern Illinois, I would imagine, will attract some attention there. We've got an FCS versus FBS game. Holy Cross against Syracuse. Syracuse in this one, if you're wondering, is laying 30 against the Crusaders of Holy Cross. And then South Florida at Tulane, also coming up at noon Eastern at Ullman Stadium. And Tulane has been bet against in the market as we've seen this number move from 6 down to 4. So some money coming in on South Florida in a big-time AAC showdown. So there you go. All of the games coming up at noon Eastern. Let's take a look at my betting card for this week. Now, some of these have moved, and as always, make sure you check out vsin.com/picks. One of the many perks you get as a vSIN Pro subscriber. You get all of our picks when we put them in, whether it be on shows or just getting ready. So running through my card, I've got a couple games coming up here at noon Eastern, one including Baylor as a 3-point favorite against BYU. I mentioned this. I think this is a big letdown spot for BYU. And I also think this is a bit of a rally the troops type of game here for the Baylor Bears. So at 3, or if you want to go money line, I do like Baylor quite a bit here against BYU. Another game, didn't get the best of the number. I took some Maryland here, plus the 7 against Indiana. This game going to kickoff here in just a moment. I also laid it with UConn as well. I didn't lay the best number. I laid 6.5. It's now 6. A couple other games that I'm on a little bit later on, and we'll dive into these as the show goes on. UNLV money line. I don't love the fact that I just heard from Chuck Esposito that the public is pounding UNLV here, but we've talked about this game ad nauseum all throughout the week. I do think UNLV is going to rally behind Haj Malik Williams, the backup quarterback, the transfer from Campbell, from all accounts, was neck and neck all throughout the summer months. And you're starting to see that in the market out to 2.5. One other game I want to hit on here before we hit a break at the top of the hour is Louisville against Notre Dame. Top 15 matchup between the Irish and the Cardinals. Mike Sanford likes Louisville to win this game outright. I disagree. And yes, I am a Notre Dame fan. I tend to be pessimistic. I really like the matchup for the Irish today. I'm not going to lay the number, but Louisville under their team total of 20.5 is a best bet for me. I think this Cardinals offense struggles to get things going against the Irish. All right, 2 hours in the books. Kickoff's about to happen across the country, and we've got best bets from last night's Circa Friday Football Invitational to run through. Don't go anywhere here on VSiN.
Experience the time of your life at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Live it up with the world's largest sports book, Circa Sports. Get loose and get loud with all sports, all seasons at Stadium Swim. Take in the $1 million views at our rooftop lounge, Legacy Club. Go big and go all night with our luxurious rooms and suites.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open. Don't speak with your mouth full. Keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day, making sure they brush their teeth, is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit tunein2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Discount Power Sports at 778 North Main Street in Hubbard is hosting a raffle for a 125cc Pentora ATV. Tickets are $30 each, and 100 tickets are available. For each raffle, when those 100 are gone, a winner will be drawn and a new raffle will begin. Tickets can be purchased at any Hubbard home game or at 778 North Main Street or by calling 330-717-44441. 1,500 $1,500 from each raffle will go toward a scholarship for the Hubbard Youth Coalition.
You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
The Sports Betting Network.
You're watching VSiN's College Football Tailgate Show right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, where you get your winners.
Hour 3 of the VSiN College Football Tailgate Show. I'm your host, Tip Murray. Coming up in 15 minutes, my partner in crime, not only on VSiN Primetime, but as well as the VSiN College Football Betting Podcast, Matt Humans will run through his best bets. And Matt, on every Friday night, he hosts the Circa Friday Football Invitational with some of the best handicappers in all the land. And we'll run through some of their best bets coming up here in just a moment. We'll keep our eyes on all the games that are about to kick off. But let's reset the biggest stories of the day. And we'll start with the Texas Longhorns, who are still worrying about their quarterback, Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers will not play today, so it'll be another game with Arch Manning as the starter there. It's a nice luxury to have if you're Texas to be able to bank on a 5-star recruit in Arch Manning. But Quinn Ewers not expected to play today, as reported by Pete Thamel earlier today. Final decision is expected later on, but Ewers is nearly 70%, and the coaching staff is prioritizing his health for Oklahoma. If you're wondering, Texas at home today, 4:15 Eastern kickoff, as they are a small 37.5-point favorite against SEC. I was about to call them rival. They're not a rival. SEC foe in Mississippi State. Cam Rising, stop me if you've heard this before. We don't know his status for today's game. He did not play last week. A little bit of a surprise. He's dealing with that stitches on his throwing hand. And according to Pete Thamel earlier today, Cam Rising, a game time decision for the